All right, what's going on, everyone? Today is a special day. If you didn't already know, the new Unearthed Arcana was released. I didn't do. I kind of talked on this stuff with the character origins a little bit in some of my previous, chilling with Lofi and talking D&D stuff. But I didn't really do like an overall, and I also didn't do anything as comprehensive as what I'm looking to do today. Now, the last time that when the character origins UA came out, I sat down, took in the information, kind of gave a bit of a comparison, at least for myself. Also for like the friends, some of the discords that I belong to. But what I want to do is, because this is going to be a very reoccurring thing, I want to start putting out my takes on the UA, how I go through and kind of look at it, compare it to, what it was. And I've already watched some videos on it. I've already done some of those things, to just, kind of been up for the last, 4 or 5 hours researching this stuff. But I'm in the process of writing my own comparison document. And I've been doing this, and I want to do it for each one. So that's kind of where we're going to be taking off. As you can see, with this one, it's expert classes. So we'll jump into that. I'm going to go over what I already did and then pick up right where I left off, which was actually right at where the feats started. So I kind of already have that preset, but we'll take a look at it. So we'll go ahead and get a jump into here. As you can tell, I am using, oh wait, I forgot to name this. This is going to be Expert UA. So I'm obviously on the, where is it? Oh, right there. Obviously on the D&D Beyond page that pulls this up. If you don't know where to get this information, go to D&D Beyond, go to sources, and it's right at the very top. It's always going to be there, until this is not a thing. And then from there, select which content you want, and then you can download the PDF. Honestly, it's just a link, so that'll always be out there. In fact, I actually meant to, because I want to do a comparison to the other one. We're going to go back, and we're going to open up, so we'll open up this one there, and we'll open up this one there, and then because there is some stuff that does compare between the two of them, so we'll handle that whenever the time comes. But okay, so jumping into it, obviously, this is going to be on the experts. The experts are going to be the bard, the ranger, and the rogue. This does also include the artificer. Now, the thing to understand about that is the artificer was not a part of the original player's handbook. So a lot of the stuff that's probably going to be seen throughout here that does reference the artificer is probably going to say, where is it? Down here, I believe. Yeah, right here. The artificer is a part of it. But, it was part of Tasha's Eberron, but it's not technically a part of it. But like I said, you can find this information here. I'm not going to say the name of this website. Those of you who know it, you know it. Just not going to say the name of it. So, as for getting into this, let's see. Let's start where we're at now. Primary abilities, that has always been a thing. You have to have at least a 13 in any one of the particular things. If you want a multi-class, you have to have, a 13 in any of the particular skills. Now, there is a difference in here. That is the fact that I believe the ranger is dexterity wisdom. So with that, that is kind of a little, or no, it's not. No, it's not. Sorry. I didn't realize that it was on there, but yeah. So it's going to be the same, then it's going to be the same thing as what's on there. As part of the multi-classing ability, you have to have at least a 13 in a skill or in a, an ability score in order to be able to multi-class. Class groups, this was something that was discussed before in the previous UA, but not really expanded on, and the one that it's focusing on this one is obviously the experts. This really goes back to old 4th edition content. The thing is, back in 4E, you had roles. Now, your roles for them were controller, defender, leader, and striker. They weren't really like any hard concepts. They were more just like generic ideas. And that's kind of the way that, that this is as well. So experts are people who are multifaceted, good at a lot of things, and kind of pull stuff from other classes. That's going to be your bards, your rangers, and your rogues. And again, artificer. Mages, sorcerer, warlock, and wizard. Adepts of arcane magic, focusing on utility and destruction. These are oftentimes the classes that get more focus on damaging spells. Evocation wizards, warlock getting the best cantrip in the game, sorcerers getting all kinds of buffs and meta magics in order to increase their ferocity. There is a ton of stuff that you know plays into being a mage, but a lot of it is utility or damage. Priest, cleric, druid, and paladin, these are going to be ones focusing on healing, some utility, also buffing, defensing, warding, and stuff like that. And lastly, warriors, these are going to be your mostly melee-focused combatants, barbarian, fighter, and monk. These are also the ones that have, you know, a lot more martial class abilities. Also, something that we're going to notice later on with the ranger, and I kind of want to point it out now. So as you can see, warriors list barbarian, fighter, and monk. Now, if we scroll down here to the ranger gets a fighting style. And it says, when you gain a feat at later levels, fighting style feats are among your options, even though you aren't a member of the warrior group. So what this tells me is that barbarians, fighters, and monks will get the ability to take fighting style feats, much like the fighting initiate feat, but it's going to be specific to the warrior group. So this means that you could not, unless something changes or something is different later on, this tells me that I am not going to be able to get say a sword, College of Sword bard with, say, a dueling fighting style, or a paladin with a great weapon fighting style. I don't know if that's going to be how it turns out in the very end, but that is kind of a bit bunk to me, because I think depending on how you want to play your character, if you want to play a war cleric who's very focused on their weaponry, or a forge cleric who's very focused on weaponry, I don't think them being classified as a priest class or a priest group should negate their ability to have access to those feats. I do like the fact that a lot of feats now are segmented between 1st, 4th. Maybe we'll see the higher level ones that you can take it, 8th or 12th. That's just kind of my opinion on that. All right, so yeah, we're not going to worry about, stuff like this, blah, 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 class features, subclasses. We're just going to jump right into bards. Now, as you can see on the right here, I have this listed because this was something that as I was writing up this document, I noticed across all subclasses, every subclass feature is gained at 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 14th. Unlike the previous stuff, where, as you can see on the bard here on the left, they get their first ability at 3rd. They don't get a class feature until 6th. Then they get one at 14th, and that's actually it. Bards actually only ever got 3 buffs. In fact, let me pull it up here wherever I had this particular document. Bear with me. Here it is. So where's that? Where's that one? We're gonna bring this back up so I can put this on full screen. Right there. So this is a document that I put together a little bit ago to try and like compare and contrast classes and subclasses. So as you can see, the spread is all across the board whenever it comes to this. Almost everyone is going to get their subclass feature at 3rd level. That's kind of how it's always been. Yeah, there we go. That's a little better. Everyone's going to get their subclass feature at 3rd level. That's for the most part. You obviously had Warlock, Sorcerer, Clerics getting theirs at first. They kind of started out as theirs. Personally, always thought Paladin should have gotten their first ability at 1st level. I think your Paladin should have your Oath from the beginning. That's a personal thing. And then Wizards and Druids getting their, their Circle and their School at 2nd level. But from there, obviously 4, 8, 12, 16, I believe 19 was also the case, was also always a feat or an ability score increase. That's going to be something we're going to notice, especially with this UA, that they've changed feats and abilities. But yeah, 19 was always reserved for that. And then 20 is going to be the class capstone, which has also been replaced. But looking at this, it's all over the board. What we have now instead is everybody is just the same. It doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what class, at least with the expert, let me rephrase that, at least with the expert, this is what you're looking at. Everybody's going to get their subclass feature at those levels. You're going to get a feat at these levels, and you're going to get one here. This is going to be what's considered now an epic boon, which we'll touch on to that when we get into feats. That's going to be its kind of own separate thing. But this is what we're looking at. Also, this is your capstone for your class. Like, this is where your class feature is fully defined. But if this is what we're looking at, okay, I'm cool with that. Like, I don't mind that because it makes the idea that certain classes get things at certain times is fine if that's the way that they want to roll it. Like, obviously with this, all of these are still going to get, these feats. But if you look at a cleric, for example, a cleric is getting they don't get a subclass ability. Why do I have a subclass ability on there at 8th level? I don't know. What did I mean to put there? Where is their other domain? No, it is. Wow. Okay, yeah. So 8th level, clerics got not only a feat, but they also got a class feature. And then, right there, and right there. And so it's all over the board. If that's how they want to do it in the past, that's fine. I kind of like this structure. You always kind of know, like, hey, everyone's getting 4 class features. It's not like where the cleric, I put that on the fighter. Huh. It's not like where the cleric or the bard is only going to get 3 class features throughout their whole thing. They get it at 3, 6, and 14, and the fighter who gets 5. Everyone else always had 4, but those 2 were always off. Now it's balanced, it's even. Everything's straight across the board. I'm sure some people are going to find something that they don't like about that, but you can't win every battle. But I think it's all right. So, getting further into this, we're going to start with the Bard. Now, the Bard is very close to my heart. I played a Bard. I played a couple Bards. I love the class. But there are some things in here that I do like, some things that I don't like, and we're going to go through them together. So, obviously going down through here, you can see the first thing that kind of kills me is when you make a Bard, prior, you had proficiency with simple weapons, hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers, and short swords. Now, it's just simple weapons. This means that unless you take a feat that is going to give you proficiency with certain weapons, you no longer get that, swashbuckling Bard with a rapier. You don't get that sword Bard with a long sword, or like that stealthy, sneaky whisper Bard with a crossbow. It's kind of rough, in my opinion. That one hurt. So, lost that. But hey, we'll live. There's always feats. There's always ways to gain proficiencies in the game, whether through feats, magic, or hard work and determination. You can manage it. Up next, Bardic Inspiration. So Bardic Inspiration has changed a fair amount. And what it is in the past, you would have a certain amount of Bardic Inspirations, which, let me see how many, blah, 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 can't remember. Here it is, yeah, number of times equal to your charisma modifier, so we can see that it's now equal to proficiency bonus. This has been something that we have seen them switching a lot of things to in the within the recent weeks and months. They're moving more to that proficiency bonus because I feel personally that while you're still going to have a primary ability score, you're going to have the bards who are focused on charisma, you're going to have rangers focused on dexterity, you're going to have barbarians focused on strength. Having stuff based off of those means that if you want your character, if you want your class features to really buff up with you, you have to put a lot of effort in using your feats and using your ability score increases to benefit that particular ability score, because otherwise you have less uses of it. So I personally like adding or having stuff tied to the proficiency bonus because it doesn't, it makes it so that when you level up, you are getting more stuff regardless of your choices outside of that. I mean, going from this, you might have a +5 to an ability score by 5th level, maybe 8th level. But, and granted, you're not going to get that until you reach, +5 in a proficiency until your 13th level. But having the ability to tie stuff so that it makes it better as you go along is a lot better, in my opinion. So, Bardic Inspiration, again, the big change. Whereas before, you would expend a use of you would give somebody your Bardic Inspiration. Within the next 10 minutes, they had to use it on some ability check, attack roll, saving throw. From here on out, I'm going to call those D20 tests, just because that's what WotC is going with. That's also, I think, just a good term to use, D20 test. So you could use that on a D20 test within the next 10 minutes. And it could be whatever you wanted it to be. And now, as you can see, when a creature fails a D20 test. So this isn't just like, oh, I maybe have, they can choose to see and use it before they know whether it succeeds or fails. Now it's when a creature within 60 feet that fails a test, you can use your reaction to give them that Bardic Inspiration. I love that. It has always been a big pain in the ass, especially myself as a DM, where I want to sit there and get through combat. I want to make it as theatrical and as intense as possible. I want to roll. I want to make the dice matter, but also make them off to the side. where it's, oh, you failed, this happens, and then we roll, but somebody's like, oh, well, I could have used my Bardic Inspiration before I knew that it failed, or, it's, oh, I don't know if I'm going to use it, the DC might be a 13 and you might have rolled a 15, but you think the DC is an 18, so you're like, I'm going to use it, and then you waste it. And in a lot of cases, I might, as a DM, be like, hey, don't worry, you already succeeded, no big deal. I like the change to this. I like that it's now, when you fail, you get a D6. That's great. Also, tying it to a reaction and having it on the Bard means that it's not just a timed event. It's not a thing that you have to prep and plan for. It can be reactionary. It can be in the moment when you need it. Here it is. Not only that, but the ability to have the Bard heal somebody in the same capacity. You just watched the Barbarian get slammed in the chest by some ogre and has just been knocked on their ass, and they're within 60 feet of you. Bardic Inspiration, get the fuck up, and they're back up. You roll that hit die. That right there makes having a Bard on your team almost a necessity, in my opinion. At first level, the ability to, as a reaction, a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, to be able to get, at starting level 6, up to 6 hit points as a reaction, that's phenomenal. Like, you get it, sure, you only get it twice a day, but that's still great. I love it. I love the fact that and we're going to see it as we go through, a lot of the Bard stuff is now really focused on healing. Okay, so moving on from Bardic Inspiration, we're going to go on to spellcasting. So a big thing that I have on here is you might notice, compared to these two spell lists, there is no spells known column on this particular page anymore. It is just prepared spells per spell level. So what that means is that they have done this more like the cleric, more like the druid, where you're not having to learn these spells and then prepare them every morning, where that was the case before, where, you knew spells every day, you knew spells and you got to pick those spells from it. It is now just that you just have them. You prepare that many, and that is it. I like it. I think having it based off of that, at least in my opinion, was always better in the long run. Clerics and druids just being able to wake up and say, hey, we're going to siege the castle today, so I need to prepare Warding Bond, and I need to prepare Fireball, or I need to prepare this, that, and the other thing. That's great. So same thing on here. Bard's automatically getting 4 very great spells. Over here. We'll get to that. These are actually part of a new thing they're doing, where they actually give you, like, advised spells to take. This way, if you want to play a Bard, but maybe you're bored, you're maybe just running through a character, you need a 7th level character, and you don't want to have to sit there and think about spells. This is how they're handling that now. So I kind of like that. I like that feature. So all the spells must be from the arcane spell class, which we kind of knew because of how they described things in the last UA, but you only get it from divination, enchantment, illusion, and transmutation. So this is kind of the point that I assumed they were going to be making last time. Arcane, divine, and primal spell lists are major categories, much like expert, mage, warrior, and priest. And then under those, you are going to have the more specific branching paths. I like that, because instead of saying, hey, this is the Bard spell list, it is, hey, Bard, you get access to the arcane school, or the arcane list, but from the schools of divination, enchantment, illusion, and transmutation. Simple. That is the bard list. The bard list is now defined as something. It is not that the bard list is the bard list. This goes back to things, that we do in the world. Like, what is a kilogram? Well, a kilogram was literally the weight of a physical object that existed in the real world. Whatever that weight was, that was the weight of a kilogram. And if that thing got shot with a bullet and lost some mass, the weight of the kilogram went lower. So it is now that the bard spell list has a definition that is arcane spells from divination, enchantment, illusion, transmutation. I love that. I love how that is set up now. So again, finish a long rest. You get to prepare an amount of spells abiding by this rule set. And it's just, these are the amount you can do. You can prepare 2 first level spells. When you're first level, you can prepare 3 at second. You get 4 at third and 2 second levels. And it's much simpler than having a spells known prepare these amount, though. I like that. Okay, so moving on from that, obviously everything's going to stay the same for the most part. Charisma is your innate spellcasting ability. That's, basic for bards. You're going to use a musical instrument as actually, let's look at this, because this was something that I picked up on my second read through. You can use a musical instrument as a spellcasting focus for the spells you prepare for this class. Can. This is a very specific word. This is something that I want to point out. Can does not mean must or have to. It is not. It is more associated with may. You may use a musical instrument. You can use a musical instrument. This means that you don't have to be a musical bard. This means that you could have a spellcasting focus that is more standard. You could have an orb, a wand, a staff, some kind of pendant. And granted, not every DM was always going to be, super harsh on that stuff. I played a bard who had a set of cook's utensils. That was his spellcasting component. He was a chef. So you don't have to have those, those things. But I like the fact that now it doesn't say your spellcasting focus is a musical instrument, or you use a musical instrument as a spellcasting focus. I prefer whenever it becomes more of an option. Okay, so second level, we're getting expertise. That came at third level before, so hey, kudos to us getting that a little bit sooner. That's always great. People took dips into rogue a lot to get expertise. Now each one of the expert classes gets it, so I like that commonality between them. Songs of Restoration. So this is a big thing. This was kind of what I meant by WotC moving bards to a more healing specified subclass. Or not subclass, but a class. So you always have prepared. They don't count against your spells known, or the ones that you can prepare, but you have Healing Word, Lesser Restoration, Mass Healing Word, Freedom of Movement, and Greater Restoration. Great spells overall, no question. Freedom of Movement is the one that kind of gets me, though. For those who don't know, Freedom of Movement is basically that difficult terrain does not affect you. And also you can't have your speed reduced, and what was it? Nor cause spells and magical effects can't cause you to be paralyzed or restrained. I get that. I get kind of maybe like wiggling out of things. But that one was kind of weird to me. Like, all of these are very, very focused on healing, very focused on restoration of some kind. Healing Word is a great, super great spell. Mass Healing Word is always great to take whenever you're focused on healing. Lesser Restoration, Greater Restoration, again, more specific in when you need them, but great to have nonetheless. But Freedom of Movement felt a little weird to me. But hey, I guess it does, restore your ability to move or something like that. And that's kind of the idea, Songs of Restoration. We'll get to the subclass later on. So here is a huge change. I actually meant to put it up here. We're gonna type it in now. Feats are the base, and ASI is now a feat. So that was something that was announced. What it is it's not like it was back in the day with the original PHB where you get an ability score increase, or if you're playing with the optional feat roll, you can take a feat. It is now, bottom line, you get a feat, and if you want, you can take the ability score improvement feat. That is now a feat that gives you that +1 to 2 skills or +2 to 1 skill. I like that. I really like that because it makes it so that, hey, these are all the feats. Here's one that does this very specific thing. I like that. As some of you know, at least with me, as my games, I also do talents, which that's still its own thing, for every, each, I guess it would now just be listed as, every talent. If you can take the talent feat and get access to 2 talents, I guess that might be a way to word it in line with this, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so Jack of all trades. Jack of all trades got moved from a 2nd level ability to a 5th level ability. That blew my mind. Didn't mean to click there. That straight up blew my mind. We're going to, no, yeah, that makes it worse. Okay, that's what I thought. That straight up blew my mind whenever I saw that. Why does that matter, you might be asking yourself? Well, that means that dips into bards don't really matter anymore. As I have it on here, if you had some character that you were trying to build up, you wanted to get, good buffs into your skills, Jack of all was just a great ability. And now they've kind of, moved it to 5th level, in my personal opinion, is where the start of the class abilities shine. Whatever you would want to call that. You have your capstone. I guess maybe you would call this your keystone. This is the one that, we'll say that. This is your keystone ability. This is the one that supports the class. For fighters, this is where you get multi-attack. For wizards, this is where you get your 3rd level spells. So for a wizard, you're going to get Fireball. That's where you get your crazy spells. So this one being the keystone ability of Jack of all trades, I don't know how I feel about that. I liked having it earlier on, getting those abilities. And if we look at it over here, it is that, 5th level, your Bardic Inspiration got buffed, and also you regained all uses of Bardic Inspiration when you finish a short or long rest. That got moved to 7th. So what we're seeing with this, Bardic Inspiration got buffed, in my opinion. Spellcasting got buffed, because now you can long rest and change out your spells and everything. You've always had expertise, and you got that a little bit earlier. You always have these healing spells, but in trade-off for that, Jack of all got pushed, and Font of Bardic Inspiration got pushed. That's kind of the bottom line. So 8th level feat, obviously. 9th level, we got expertise. Again, that was a 10th level ability. Take my hat off there. It's getting a little warm. So a big thing here is, Big thing here is that we're going to see that we don't have the Song of Rest. So Song of Rest was an early ability. Where was it? Here it is. Yeah. So it's second level. And this is kind of where, here we go. The Songs of Restoration were kind of a thing. It's no longer at the end of a short rest you can give out these bonus. That's actually what I feel like this was more akin to. So obviously we're not going to get that buff at 5th level. And we're also not going to get that increase at 9th level, but we are going to get the second expertise, which is always, that's kind of how the expert classes work. They get those bonuses to their skills. That's why they're there. Then we're going to go to Magical Secrets. Now, Magical Secrets got moved from 10th to 11th. Again, everything kind of getting pushed further. And so what it is here is, instead of it being choose any 2 spells from any class list, now, again, kind of with the language change of everything, it is choose a spell list, Arcane, Divine, or Primal. Whenever you prepare spells of this class, up to 2 of the spells you prepare can be from the chosen list from any school of magic. Now, this is kind of crazy, because what this means is that you're automatically going to get that arcane with the specific schools. You could take Divine and Primal, and now you have access to a grander array of spells. And then you're going to take, you could take the further Magical Secrets, which again is just kind of how the Bard works at later levels. You get all these magical secrets. With this one, choose a spell list that you didn't choose for your magical secrets. So again, there's only 3 spell lists. So when you choose a spell list, oh wait, no, sorry, I read that wrong. So you have to choose one and then you choose the other. Yeah. So yeah, no, I did read it wrong here, but I understood it right the first time. You're going to be able to choose between, Arcane, Divine, or Primal, but the thing that's going to go along with that is that you are going to just get a grander array of spells, but you're not stuck to 2 spells. It's not that you pick them at 10th level and guess what? You have that. It's not that you have to carry that with you for 10 levels. You just now have access to prepare 2 spells from, say, the Primal list, 2 spells from the Divine list. Maybe you want more Arcana. Maybe you are playing a more wizardly Bard. You can roll into that a lot more. And I like that. I like that there's now a little bit more freedom with it. All right, so Superior Bardic Inspiration. Whenever you roll initiative, you gain 2 uses. That was the capstone for the class down here. I know you can't see it. Sorry. Let me go ahead and whoop. There you go. 20th level, when you roll initiative and have no uses, you get to reuse it. It's the same thing. It's just all the same. But now what we're looking at with classes, and something that I had up here. Level 18, class capstone. Yep, that's what we saw. Superior Bardic Inspiration. What do we see up here? We are on Feat. Again, always been there for 19th level. Right down here at the bottom. I know you can't see it, but there it is. Ability score improvement. And now, Epic Boon. You get the Epic Boon of Luck or the Epic Boon Feat of your choice. We'll get into what those are later on. That is something that we'll touch on. That is definitely different. Boons were a thing in older versions of the game. Oh, shoot. I forgot to talk about this. Sorry. Right here. Font of Bardic Inspiration. This actually has a new thing. If a creature rolls your Bardic Inspiration and rolls a 1, after any rerolls you might have, that use is not expended. That's great. That's great. What is worse than the Bard being like, okay, we're going to roll your Bardic Inspiration, and they roll 1. Oh, man. That sucks. But guess what? You get to keep it. What does this mean, though? Now, let's think about this. If we look up here, these are your Bardic Inspirations. It's how they're used. Boost a d20 roll or heal. So what does that mean? If a creature rolls your Bardic Inspiration die and gets a 1, that is not expended. So let's go back to that example we had. Barbarian, you're out on the battlefield, Bard, you have an Ogre. The Ogre bashes down your Barbarian buddy. You use your Bardic Inspiration. I'm going to heal you. You heal them for 1. They're back up. And you never use that Bardic Inspiration. It's not expended. But you just healed them. And they're back up. Because going down and having 1 hit point means that you are up. This makes it so much more powerful. You have a 18%. I think 6 goes into 100 17 times, or no, it's 16 point something. 16.6. You have a almost 17% chance that when you go to heal somebody who just got dropped, it's not going to be used. Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, WotC. I love that. That turns the worst thing into what can be the best thing. So, sorry. I glossed over that because as I was scrolling through, I forgot that I should be looking at my notes here on the right as well. So yeah, as I said on here, some abilities were mostly just moved around, but are pretty much the same thing. So, up next, prepared Bard spells. Again, these are going to be the ones that WotC has already put ahead for everyone. If you just want to make a character, don't really care, you're just trying to put it together for a one-shot, or you're trying to cover for a session. If you're making a 5th level Bard, these are the spells that you take at 1st level, these are the ones you take at 2nd, these are 3rd, and so on and so on and so on. Now, as it says, the spells marked with a dagger are always prepared and can't be replaced when you prepare spells. So that's going to be your healing word, your healing word, your lesser restoration, your mass healing words. That's going to be the ones that are part of your Song of Restoration repertoire. We're always just going to have those. Okay, so coming down here to the Bard subclass, we'll come up here, we'll get rid of that and get rid of the variants. And this one, as with the other classes, as with Ranger and Rogue, they're only listing 1 subclass for now. Now, it was announced that there are going to be 48 subclasses associated with the new with the new system. Now, the thing to take into consideration with that is, you can see here, there we go. Wizards have a lot. Wizards have always had a lot. And, you know, yeah, here we go. There they are. So all the ones there in, all the ones up here in blue are all the ones that were part of some of the basic stuff. Abjuration, Conjuration, Divination, Enchantment, Evocation, Illusion, Necromancy, and Transmutation. I know War was added on later. Scribes, Graviturgies from Critical Role, same with Chronourgy. But there's a lot of stuff with that that comes into question. You know, like we view only official. These are all the subclasses that have been added, but if we only look at, I want to say there is a way to filter it beyond that, but I can't, I don't know if there is a way, but basically with that, we're, you know, we're looking at gonna have only just a handful of for each one. And again, it's going to be like the old PHB. So it's understandable that that is the case. But looking at this particular subclass, so 3rd level, going to get the bonus proficiencies. That is the same way as it is over here. You get proficiencies. Now, it does specifically say you gain Arcana, History, and Nature. If you already have these, pick other ones that you don't have proficiency with. Whereas before, it was 3 skills of your choice. So if, for example, you are playing a lore bard, it makes sense to have Arcana, History, and Nature. But maybe you didn't have Nature. Maybe you don't care about Nature. And maybe you were going to want to take Religion instead. And you didn't take it from your background or wherever else you could get it. This is going to pros that you have to take Nature as one of them. But if you don't care about Nature, why would you want to take it? I kind of like the old way, but I think you can always work with your DM, say, hey, you know, I'm going to swap that out. And I'm sure that they won't care. Cutting words. Cutting words, one of the big thing that really changed. It's still pretty much the same thing. A creature within 60 feet of you succeeds on an attack or an ability check. Use your reaction, use your Bardic Inspiration, and subtract it from their roll. In the past, it used to be if the creature could not hear you, they were immune to that effect. That, to me, was always a little bit better because it made more sense. But you know, hey, it's to the benefit of the players that that's not a thing anymore. You know, give me 1 second. I'm going to move these windows around on here because I don't want to keep blocking this corner. All right, we're going to put that over here on my screen. Go. So, and I'm just going to make this reflect what I'm looking at. There we go. That's a little better. Perfect. Okay. Sorry. I just don't want to keep blocking what you know, what's on this particular page. So okay, yeah, so here we go. Again, back to where we're cutting words. You learn to use them, or yeah, blah blah blah. Attack roll, ability check. Again, doesn't have to be immune to it's not immune if it can still hear, or if it can't hear you. I like that. Again, I like that for the players. If I was a player, that's great. As a DM, not a huge fan of that. I think you can understand why. If I know that there's a bard in the party and I'm going to throw in something like silence or, you know, try and cause something, some effect within the world that is going to make the bard not be able to speak, seeing that cutting words doesn't take, you know, can still take effect even if they can't hear them. I'm not a huge fan of that. I guess it's just because you can see them, but like cutting words, you're having to speak something. So how is cutting words not something that has to be spoken and has to be heard? I don't know. All right, moving on. Cutting Inspiration. This is going to be something new. Obviously at 6th level, it was more magical secrets. That was... You just kept getting more magical secrets with Lore Bard, but now what it is Bardic Inspiration gets advantage. So if you know the bard, if the bard's trying to help the rogue in a stealth roll, you can use Cunning Inspiration to give them that D6 they roll, or that D8 or whatever it is. They roll twice, take the highest roll. That's great. Improved Cutting Words. Now whenever you use that, you can deal psychic damage equal to that die roll. Plus your charisma modifier. So again, right there, that extra little bit of buff that comes with an ability that I think works really well. And again, 10th level, bards didn't get anything before. At 10th level beforehand, a bard was getting expertise in magical secrets, and obviously that was moved. So it's nice to have 4 subclass abilities. And lastly, Pureless skill. When you make an ability check and fail, you can expend a use, roll the die, turning this into a potential success. And if the check still fails, the Bardic Inspiration isn't expended. I love that. I love that that works that way, because that sucks. Again, it kind of goes back to how they changed the Bardic Inspiration, where if you roll a 1, it's not expended. With this one, I love the fact that it's if it still fails, it's not used. I like that you're not wasting your abilities. That's a great buff for that. So as I put over here, here we go. So big and little changes with the Bard, but overall but my overall feel from it is that it's basically been pushed more focused on healing, which I've already touched on. I think that is just the case. I think they wanted to have the Bard a little bit more focused on healing and buffing. Haste is obviously a great buff spell, and that's the thing. If we look at some of the spells that they recommend, they're mostly going to be illusory. They're mostly going to be stuff that is transmutation. Obviously, those are the spell lists we have access to, but it's all utility. It's mostly utility, and it's mostly healing. Charm Person, Blur and Shatter, Calm Emotions, again, that's more passive utility. Minor Illusion, again, passive. Charm Person, Blur is more of a buff. Haste and Tongues, again, utility. So there's a lot of utility when it comes to the bards, and there always has been, but I feel like they're really digging into the more healing aspect of it. Okay, so moving on to the Ranger. Now I'm going to preface this by saying Ranger got buffed a lot. Kind of blew my mind how much better the Ranger now is. In my opinion. So let's look at the first things. Here we go. Obviously, you're still going to get light armor, medium, and shields, simple weapon, martial weapons. No tools or anything. That was always the same thing. I know it's kind of blurry to see over there. Here we go. We'll beef that up a bit. There we are. So as you can see, pretty much everything else is staying the same. Now, I will say that, with this, you don't get the choice of, some to touch on with the last one, with the Bard, it had this. When you make a Bard, you either get 100 gold or you get these weapons. With the Bard in the past, it was very much the same thing. You get access to these weapons. Alternatively, you can start with this. Now, with the Ranger, it's the same thing. And here we go. So it's the same thing. But if you notice, the Bard started with 100 gold. The Ranger starting with 150. I don't know where that comes from. Does it come from the fact that the Ranger has access to medium armor and medium armor is heavier? Is it the fact that the Ranger has a longbow to start with and that already is very expensive? In my opinion, I think the Bard should start with a little bit of extra money. Not because I'm biased towards the Bard, which, sure, I'll own my bias. But I think the Bard would be out there performing. I think they should start with maybe 125. That extra 25 gold from them doing something. But I'm not going to get on my soapbox. But again, Explorer's Pack, not even an option anymore. Dungeoneer's Pack is not in the basic one. Again, you can buy it if you want. They cost all the same. As we talked about last time, all packs cost the same. All equipment costs the same for the most part. But yeah, you're going to start out with a short sword and a scimitar, studded leather, longbow, quiver, arrows. It's basically the same thing. But Get moving on from there. So, blah, 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 blah. Features. Yes, here we go. Okay, so first and foremost, we are losing favored enemy in the way that it has always been. Now, favored enemy, in my opinion, was always kind of dumb. If you picked giants, monstrosities, and oozes, you were playing, I don't know, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, good luck. You're kind of sunk. It was kind of the same thing with Natural Explorer. If you were playing Rime of the Frost Maiden and you picked Swamp or the Underdark, you made a bad choice. I have nothing to say beyond that. The new expertise is going to be on here. I'm not even going to touch on that because it's an expert class, so each one of them is going to have expertise. But favorite enemy, you get the Hunter's Mark spell prepared, and it does not count against the spells you know. That is great. If you forgot, Hunter's Mark is an extra d6 of damage when you hit them, and advantage on perception and survival checks to find them. And if they drop to 0, you can use a bonus action to swap that to someone else. That is great, and it lasts for an hour. You need to find somebody, you need to track them down, you just have to see them. It is not like the favored foe from Tasha's, where when you hit a creature, you can make them your favored foe for a minute, or until you lose concentration, which again, does not count against the spells you know, and you don't need to concentrate on it, and it lasts for the full duration, or until you end it as a bonus action, or until you're knocked out. So good. Also, this is the first time on each of your turns that you hit, you deal that extra 1d4. Hunter's Mark is you deal an extra d6 when you hit with a weapon attack. So instead of it being 1d4 once per turn, it's now 1d6 every time you hit them. You don't need to concentrate on them. You don't need to do anything special with them. You just have it. It's great. And sure, I don't think it increases until, it increases until 18th level. Now, on here, it increased at 6th and 14th. Now, we'll eventually get back to here, but 18th level Foe Slayer. Your Hunter's Mark now deals an extra 1d10. I personally think that they should have put they should have made this a 1d8 somewhere else. I don't necessarily have a good point of where. Obviously 3, 6, and 10 and 14 are going to be associated with subclasses. 4, 8, and 12 are going to be associated with feats. That really leaves you 5, 7, 9, and 11. And I like the stuff that they added. I would maybe have just said something along the lines of how it is here, where it's favored enemy, the damage increases to 1d8 at 10th level and 1d10 at 18th, or maybe put it to, maybe put it to 12th level or something, but that 1d6 becomes fairly negligible after a point once you start getting into higher levels, and at 18th level, an extra 1d10 per attack on enemies that have 200 hit points sometimes, not necessarily, it's a welcome addition, but you're still, I wish it would be somewhere else in addition to where it is. Okay, so up next, spellcasting. Rangers now get spellcasting at first level. So beforehand, Rangers got spells at second level. They're now getting them from the beginning. On top of that, there's a new list. They took out spells known, much like the Bard, and went with cantrips. Also, it works the same as the Bard. They just know their spells, and they can prepare them now every long rest, I believe. And if we scroll down here, we'll see. Blah, 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 blah. Yep. So preparation, you have Cure Wounds, Guidance, Hunter's Mark, and Thorn Whip always prepared. Again, like the Bard having certain spells. This one, these are, these are the ones that you can start with. Alternatively, pick 2 cantrips, pick 2 first level spells. And the thing is that this doesn't count towards the spells that you can prep. So you don't have to really worry about that one. You just always have it. So, but again, you're just preparing a spell list at the end of a long rest. As it says, you commune with nature. So it's like the cleric, it's like the druid, now with the bard, now with the ranger, as the 2 expert spellcasters. I like this. I like the idea of the versatility. I like the idea to be able to look ahead to the next day and say, we are going to be traveling at sea. I want to be able to pick up water walk, and I want to take water breathing, and I want to take, I want to take lightning damage so that I can, and gust, like I want to blow people off of this boat we're going to be on, and I want to, cast thunder or lightning bolt or something, or whatever deals lightning damage to like hit enemies within 5 feet of them and stuff like that. I like that. I like that they're giving it more versatility. Okay, so going down to fighting style. Now, fighting style is still at 2nd level. Now, this is what I talked on before in regards to how it's kind of laid out. So you get to pick either archery, defense, or 2-weapon fighting. So if you notice in here, everything that is pink, this is going to be from Tasha's. So that means that they took away dueling. They took away the ability to have a weapon in one hand and nothing in the other to get a +2 to this, to your main hand weapon. I don't know why they took that away. I mean, I guess you're probably not going to play a ranger with only one weapon in hand. Archery, for the most part, is what most players go with, or 2-weapon fighting if you want to play like a Drit Steward and dual wielder. But defense, yeah, also kind of weird one. But I guess if you actually want to wear armor and be more of like a tree bark kind of fighter or a rogue, that's a good option for that. But this is where it talks about when you get a feat later on, you can take additional fighting styles, which we will have to see when they release the warrior group UA, that it'll have access to those feats. So 3rd level is where we're going to get our subclass. Let's go and back that up a bit. There we go. 4th level feat, 5th level extra attack, same as before. 5th level, you get your extra attack. Now, 7th level, this is where we get into something that's really nice. So in the past, at 6th level, you got to get an additional favored terrain. Now, again, like I said, favored terrains suck. Not only that, but favored terrain could really just be discounted if you took the one particular background, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I want to say it's the What is the background that I'm thinking of? What is the background that I'm thinking of? Crud. Outlander, I think. Yes, here we go. You find, yeah. So, you can find a lot. You can find food and stuff. You can, recall the area that you have gone through. But, this already is going to give you a lot of what, of what favored terrain did. Now, favored terrain obviously is going to have the benefit that you can move through it. Difficult terrain doesn't affect it. You can't be lost and stuff like that. But the Outlander background can basically supplement that for you. So, and you could play them into one another. There was that benefit to it. So, that is something to consider whenever you are making this. Whenever you're playing that. Here we go. There we go. Get the Ranger up on there. So yeah. So again, getting that, getting this new ability of the roving 7th level ability, you get an additional 10 feet of movement while you're not wearing heavy armor, which you're only proficient with light or medium. So unless you take the heavy armor mastery feat, which there's no point to do that because all your stuff's going to be based on dex, and your dex is going to be a +5 probably by this point. No point taking heavy armor anything, but you get a climb speed and a swim speed equal to your walking speed. Same thing as what was Tasha's, but with an additional 5 feet of movement. I think this is great. I think it's good, more all around. I think favorite enemy in Natural Explorer, favorite terrain, is so hyper specific to exploration and certain play styles that a player might never benefit from those things. So I like I like the new stuff a lot better. So we're going to go to, level 8, get a feat, level 9, expertise. Now, because we got roving, we're not getting land stride. So land stride is basically gone. Again, that's kind of the thing that was along with the Natural Explorer. Difficult terrain doesn't affect you. You can pass through magical plants. So it had its benefits, but it's very specific to a certain type of playstyle. And my gathering from this, from what I have seen, is that they have moved the Ranger from a exploration an exploration class to a more generic movement and utility class. There is more stuff in here that aligns with the dip and dash aspect of play, of get in, get out, or stay at range and never be seen, which is what we're going to be getting into here in a second. So 10th level subclass ability, 11th level tireless. Tireless is a crazy ability that you can, at the end of a short rest or long rest, you give yourself temporary hit points equal to a D8 plus your proficiency bonus. That's really strong. Also, you can decrease your exhaustion when you finish a short rest. So if you want to play the type of Ranger who is constantly out, constantly pushing themselves to explore and to move and to scout, and if you want to travel further than your party to scout out more, thus risking those opportunities for exhaustion, you can now decrease that with a quick 1 hour rest. I think that definitely plays into, again, the whole roving aspect, having a Ranger be somebody that is more about movement and versatility and getting around. So feat, Natural Veil. Now, Natural Veil is kind of similar to Hide in Plain Sight, but is also a lot similar to Vanish. So what it is a bonus action. You expend a spell slot and you become invisible until the end of your next turn. This is crazy. This is just magically becoming invisible for at least 6 seconds. Now, Vanish was that you can use the hide action as a bonus action on your turn and can't be tracked by non-magical means. This is that you just become invisible. You are unseen. That's still very powerful. And it's kind of crazy because the idea of the hide, the idea of hide, which, as it says, you can attempt to hide from somebody, and you gain the benefits of unseen attackers. So these are the benefits that you get when you attack. You have, somebody can't, if you are hidden, you are unseen. Attacks against you have disadvantage. You have advantage on your attacks. So there we go. That's straightforward. Invisibility works in the same way. It's just more specifically that, you still get that advantage, disadvantage bonus, but you can't be tracked unless magical things are happening. One second. All right, sorry. So I like how they did this. I think Nature's Veil is great. I think the ability to have that, to have that invisibility is crazy powerful compared to the hide. They both do very much the same thing, but I think invisible carries a heavier weight to it. 15th level ability, Feral Senses. So down here, Feral Senses was an 18th level ability. This was going to be almost a capstone. So you are aware of the location of invisible creatures within 30 feet of you, provided that creature isn't hidden from you and you aren't blind or deafened. You now just get blind sight. Now, blind sight, again, much like some other phrases. Oh my god, I can't type. Come on. There you go. So, where are we at? There it is. A creature with blind sight can perceive its surroundings without relying on sight. Within, obviously, 30 feet. So what this is going to be is that you just know where creatures are. You just do. You know where creatures are within 30 feet of you. That's it. Like, that's kind of crazy, the fact that you get that. It's not just the fact that you know where invisible creatures are. It's that you know where creatures are within 30 feet of you. So, I like Feral Senses. I think that's pretty powerful. Foe Slayer, already touched on this. Your Hunter's Mark gets up to a D10. I wish there was a D8 somewhere, but it is what it is. And lastly, Capstone, or your Epic Boon now, Fortitude Feat, which again, we'll get into those. So, going down to your spells, obviously, you're going to have some that are, you can change out some of these spells, but obviously you're going to always have some, Hunter's Mark being the main thing. But I'm kind of loving the changes they did to the Ranger. I think it makes it a more valuable kind of, class. I think there's a lot more that you can do with it now because of how it's set up. And I also think they moved away from one of the big issues that I had with it, where it used to just be so focused on exploration and being in the land and having these certain abilities a lot of the times when you are out of combat. I think the stuff that they have now is that it's more favorable for all around. It's more favorable for generic moments. There's never going to be a moment where in and out of combat, 10 feet of extra movement doesn't help. There's never going to be a moment where Hunter's Mark isn't going to be just a favored spell. There's never a moment where the ability to reduce exhaustion or gain temporary hit points is, worse in or out of combat. Again, I like that they moved a lot of the stuff from being better out of combat and some of them better in combat to them meshing more. So that said, we'll move on to the hunter background, or the hunter subclass. So let's clear some of this off to just look at that. So hunter's prey, when you hit a creature with a weapon or unarmed strike as part of the attack action, the attack deals an extra d8. That is basically if it's already missing hit points. This is going to be once per turn. So the old hunter subclass gave you choices at each one of your levels. So 3rd, 7th, 11th, and 15th, you got to pick what you wanted. This is now just giving you Colossus Slayer. That's all this is. Giant Killer, I thought was always cool, but, kind of very specific. And Horde Breaker, I actually preferred that one in a lot of cases, where if you're attacking, if you're attacking enemies, you can hit multiple at one time. I always went between Horde Breaker and Colossus Slayer personally, but just getting this straight up Hunter's Prey Colossus Slayer, I think it's a good option because it is the more power driven one. Going down to Hunter's Lore, you can call on the forces of nature to give you information about your characters. When you have a mark, you now learn that creature's immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities. Now, there isn't one like that here in Defensive Tactics, so it is definitely something that's new. It's something that aligns more with what the base class is playing into. Now, this is maybe where, in this subclass, they could have said, hey, your Hunter's Mark now deals 1d8 instead. That could have been where that was, but it is what it is. Now, 10th level, multi-attack, you always have Conjure Barrage prepared. So that right there, that's basically the same thing as Volley. It's more or less the same idea, while it might not be the exact same specifications. Conjure Barrage is going to be specifically that you throw a non-magical weapon or piece of ammunition in the air. It creates a cone. Each creature in the 60-foot cone must make a dex save, and they take 3d8. So, going with that, Volley sucks. Conjure Barrage is so much more powerful than Volley. You use your action to make a range attack against any number of creatures within 10 feet of a point that you can see, and each one of them takes the damage. Now, there is the difference between you're making an attack with the Volley and that you're making them make dexterity saves. This also means that you can play into that with the rest of your party. If you have the Bard, nerf them or debuff their ability, like Vicious Mockery, and, reduce their ability to get a good dex save, this is going to be more powerful. Not only that, but again, this is going to be only the fact that it's just an attack. Now, granted, you could combine that with Colossus Slayer that was up in there. You could also have some other things playing into it, but personally, I think Conjure Barrage is a better spell. So you can also cast this. Yeah, you can also cast this with 1st and 2nd level spell slots when you do reduce the D8 by that. So obviously, Conjure Barrage is a 3rd level spell, so it's just going to be 1d8 for a 1st, 2nd D8 for a 2nd level spell slot. So I actually like that they are just giving you that ability to reduce it if you needed to. And lastly, oh, my pug's in here. And lastly, superior Hunter's Defense. When you're hit with an attack, you can have the damage and redirect it to someone else. Again, this kind of goes into how they did with the other ones. Excuse me. You're basically combining Uncanny Dodge with a... you're basically combining Uncanny Dodge with an additional ability. So Uncanny Dodge let you reduce damage by half. That was, always how that worked. But now you can redirect that other half of damage to a creature within 5 feet of you. Now, I could see this really playing out well if maybe you were hit by a lightning bolt and you held out your hand, you had maybe a dagger in your hand, and you have like wire running up your back and over to your other hand that's sewn into your leather armor. And so when you get hit, it flows over to the other arm and you like stab into the person that's next to you and it redirects that. How this is going to be accounted for when somebody comes up to you and stabs you in the gut, are you like just reactionary stabbing someone else? Now, here's the other thing. It specifically does say that it can't be the attacker. So it can't be just like, and then you stab them. So it has to be somebody else. Again, I think that one's handled more mechanically than theatrically, but it's still good. Like I said, I like how this subclass, I like how this class got, redone. I think that they moved it more from a exploration nature-based, focus to something that is more all around better in various ways. Now, as I put here, I foresee them making a subclass where you get more exploration stuff based on a region type like the Druid's Circle of Land. I think there will be a subclass that will be, Ranger subclasses were always called like enclaves. So it's like the enclave of the Hunter and the enclave of, the Gloomstalker and stuff like that. Or conclave maybe. But I could see them doing like the Wanderer or the Landstrider or something like that, where your abilities are more focused on, when you're trying to, when you're trying to get through some region, you have better ability, you avoid difficult terrain, you can find extra food, all these things. I think more of that is going to be, how it is. Trying to make a better version of existing Hero Force character of mine. I'm gonna need a pro. Yeah. Well, I can definitely help you out once I'm done going over all this new UA stuff. All right, so up next, on to the Rogue. So I will be forthright with you. Rogues basically don't change. Now, there is one thing, though, that did, and it's something that like I tied in with the Bard. So, obviously, the old Rogues, you got simple weapons, hand crossbow, long swords, rapiers, and short swords. Now, it is simple and martial weapons that have the finesse property. I like that. I like that that becomes more specific. Does that cut out, you get simple weapons, and then you get martial weapons with finesse property. Now, that obviously is going to cut out the longsword, because the longsword is versatile. It is not finesse. That sucks, but I have never known a rogue to use a longsword. I have known rogues to use dual rapiers. I have known rogues to use dual short swords. I have never once known a rogue to actually use a longsword. So I think this is all right. Pretty much everything else is the same. You're going to get arrows. You're going to get a quiver, a short bow. Now it's obviously going to give you those, but again, there is the gold cost component that comes with all of that. So you can just swap that stuff out. So moving on, we got first level. Again, just like every class, we have expertise. That is going to be our, our capstone, or that's going to be our starting ability for all of the classes here in the experts. Sneak attack, basically the same thing. 1d6 starting. It goes up by a d6 every 2 levels, so nothing really changing there. The difference, again, not even a difference. It's just they kind of changed the language here. Advantage and ally adjacent to target, more just getting like big, bold, these are the explanations. Thieves can't, cunning action, then you get your rogue subclass, you get your feat, you get uncanny dodge at 5th level, you get expertise at now 7th level, because obviously 6 is going to be where the next class feat is, or subclass feature is. Evasion at 9th level now instead of 10th level. Again, nothing changing so far. Feats and subclass features, 11th level reliable talent, basically the exact same thing. Finally, we get to something different. At 13th level, the rogue has changed a bit. Now, the rogue used to have blind sense, which is that if you're able to hear, you are aware of the location of any hidden or invisible creature within 10 feet of you. This plays back to that thing I was saying with Ranger, where hidden and invisible are different. But this was a great ability because it meant that no matter what, you knew where things were around you. Now, subtle strikes is that when you attack, you know how to exploit them. You have advantage on any attack roll that targets a creature within 5 feet of at least one of your allies. So this means that you could be at range and hit somebody within 5 feet of your ally and get advantage on that. This means that you are going to get your use of sneak damage so much more, because sneak damage still requires you to have advantage, or at least one of your allies is within 5 feet of that target. They're not incapacitated, and you don't have disadvantage. This is just that you don't have those prerequisites when it comes to those, that disadvantage or anything like that. You get advantage now when you get that sneak attack. So that, in my opinion, is great. Just, you're automatically going to get advantage now as long as you meet the requirements for sneak attack pretty much. So I like that. I like how they played into that. And again, I liked blind sense, but I like how they did it with this. Slippery Mind is the exact same thing. Elusive is the exact same thing. Stroke of Luck, again, the exact same thing, just moved to 18th because everybody's getting, they're getting their capstone at 18, they're getting their 19th level ability feat, and they're getting their 20th level epic boon. Not much kind of changed. But what has changed? The Thief subclass. So we're going to get rid of these and focus just on the subclass right now. Now, 3rd level fast hands. The original one was when you use a bonus action granted by your cunning action to make a sleight of hand check, or you could use your cunning action to make a sleight of hand check using your thieves tools to disarm traps or to use an object. So that is still basically the same thing. You can still make, right here, bonus action, cunning action, sleight of hand check to pick a lock or disarm a trap, or to pick a pocket. That, I think, is very cool. I think that plays into the thief very well. I like how that is specific in there. But to take the search action, we're going to quickly jump down to the bottom of this list and look at what the search action is in this capacity. When you take the search action, you make a wisdom check to discern something that isn't obvious. This table below suggests which skills are applicable when you take the action, depending on what you're trying to detect. So, insight, medicine, perception, and survival. Okay, so that means that when, obviously, most of you who play D&D know what these are. What is somebody thinking? What's wrong with somebody? What is around you? But more specifically, a concealed creature or object, perceiving if somebody's hiding something on them or if there's something around you, and survival to focus on tracks and food. So going back up to the rogue, you're now getting the ability to use your bonus action as a thief to search. You can use your bonus action to roll an insight check. You can use it to perceive. You can use it to, roll a medicine check, to use a survival check. That is crazy. The fact that you can use a bonus action to try and perceive somebody, that is how you break a hidden monster's hide action. You are spending time, you're using that bonus action to perceive them. You have to roll higher than their stealth. And if you see them, you see them. I think that's great. I also think it plays again into the idea of pickpocketing. A thief is going to be somebody who is paying attention to people. They're going to be sitting there on a street corner, and they're going to be able to use that search action now to pick up on what somebody has on them. I like that. Third level, again, second story work. So this is going to be that you gain a climbing speed. So same thing on here. Climbing no longer costs extra movement. Climbing normally costs twice your movement. And now it just means that it's equal to your speed. And you can use dexterity instead of strength when trying to jump. So same as before. This one, Supreme Sneak. So in the past, it used to be a 9th level ability. Now you're getting it at 6. But not only that, you got advantage if you moved no more than half of your speed on the same turn. Now it's just tied to you not wearing medium or heavy armor. I think that's great. I think it's a better way to run it. I think that your ability to not have to, your ability to just be able to continue moving and still be able to maintain your sneak and your stealth is so powerful. Going on to the next one. This is the one that I absolutely love how they have changed it. So in the past, Use Magic Device was a 13th level ability that allowed you to ignore prerequisites for items. Various requirements, you ignore them. Now, you get to attune to 4 items. When you use an item that has a charge, you roll a d6. On a 6, you use it without using the charge. This goes back to that thing I was saying about a bard. The fact that you can roll 1 on a Bardic Inspiration and maintain it, that's a 16.6% chance to not lose that. This is a 16.6% chance to not burn a charge on a magic item. That is ridiculously powerful. Now I could see stuff like Staff of Fire or Staff of Power that you have to use multiple charges. I would probably say if it was something like, I want to cast Wall of Fire, which maybe uses round number, I don't know what the number is, but let's say it's 4 charges of a Staff of Fire. When you cast that, I would say you'd have to roll a d6 for each charge. And whatever one you roll a 6 on, you don't use that charge. I think that's great. It also means that when the rogue goes out and just picks up a random magic item, they're kind of tapping it and trying to use it. They might just accidentally use it. I think that's really funny. And the third option, or the third ability when it comes to use Magic Device, is that when you use a spell, you can just use spell scrolls now that are of a cantrip or first level. You can also use ones that are higher, but you make a Arcana check. I have had a homebrew roll in my games for a little while that's basically in the same line as that, but I like the fact that the rogues get that now. I think it's a cool idea. I love the concept that a rogue could be carrying around, say, the knock spell. You know, I think the knock spell is, yeah, it's second level. You could be carrying around a knock spell scroll. You go up to a, you know, you go up to a door, you unfurl it, and you make that DC 12 Arcana check. Maybe you're really focused on using magic items in this thief class, and so you are buffing into that. I really like it. I think it's a really good ability. And lastly, Thief's Reflexes. You can now take a second bonus action on your turn, provided it is the bonus action from Cunning Action. You can use this a number of times equal to proficiency. So in the past, what it is was you could take 2 turns on the first round of any combat. And so you would take it on your normal initiative, and then you would take it 10 points in initiative later. So if I rolled, say, a 15, I would take my turn at 15, and then I would take another one at initiative count 5. I like that this bonus action ability is a lot better. The ability to use that cunning action to, you know, maybe you're trying to sneak past somebody and then you want to hide. So you can use your, but maybe you need to like get further away. So you could now dash and then hide. I think that's a great way to use it. And then still have the ability to attack. One of the things that I had was you could attack somebody. You could stab somebody, disengage, run, and then hide. You know, and if you were in darkness or something like that. I think the Thief's Reflexes is a lot better now. I think that it has a lot more utility. Again, outside of combat, it also plays up when you're exploring. You know, you might have a thief running around who's not necessarily in combat, where it benefits him. And granted, this had its benefits. Thief Reflexes in the original had its benefits. But I like how they redid this. I like how they redid the bonus action. Okay, so now we are going to move on to the part that I haven't fully sat down with. So we're going to be going through this together. And this is going to be something that I really was excited to look into, because this is kind of one of those big things for me is feats. I love different feats. I love seeing how they play and how they work with, you know, with each other. So this is going to be the big one for me, and this is where I'm probably going to spend a lot of time today, looking through these and trying to figure out what's, you know, new and what's unique and what's different. So we're going to go ahead and get jumping into that. So let's pull up both actors. Oh, actually first, no, let's look at this. So here is this first feat. We're gonna add its own category here, because this is technically the first new feat. Obviously we know what this is. We know how this is going to work. But this is just that you are getting that ability score increase. You're increasing 1 score by 2 or 2 scores by 1, and you can't increase anything over 20. That's what it is now. It's just an ASI, and it's now tied as a feat. You know, also things are going to have levels. They're going to have prerequisites. They're going to have the ability to be repeatable. And I like that they are adding that in as a thing that is very specific, because I think in a lot of cases you had some people in the past who you might have tried to double certain things up. And obviously there were things that in a lot of cases it was listed in there. It's like you could take this again and you could take this again. I like the fact that now that's more of a just tick a box. Yes or no. And obviously something like Elemental Adept is going to be, it has to be different each time. But to just say that, you know, hey, ASI is repeatable. Yes, you can just keep taking it. So I like that that's there now. But we're going to go on to the old actor. So the old actor was charisma +1. So that was super basic. It was what we got. We got advantage on deception. How broken is me or your rod become? No one is benefiting from any of these in my game so far until I have more time to sit down with them. But so we got we got advantage on performance and deception, and we also have the ability to mimic others. And you have to hear them for 1 minute. And yeah, so you can that can always be broken by a good insight check. So, what is it now? So it's still the charisma. That's good. Charisma bonus with actor is exactly what we want. When you are disguised as a fictional person or real person other than self, you have advantage on... Okay, so that goes into this, but you lost deception. So you are, you're no longer... So you only get advantage on perception only. That's kind of rough. I don't like that you don't get the deception. You only get, you only get performance now. You don't get deception. But hey, we'll see what we got next. You hear them anytime after you can make a performance check to perform the mimicry on a success. Huh. Okay. So before it was an insight check. Hold on. Insight contest against deception breaks it. Now you make a performance check, DC 15, to mimic for 1 hour. I don't know how I feel about that. That's definitely different. I mean, I guess that would mean, so yeah, it's no longer a contest. It is now you are making a check, which also plays into the impersonation. So you're going to have advantage. So if you hear somebody talking for a minute, you get advantage on making a performance check to pass off as them for an hour. Versus hearing them for 1 minute, and when somebody questions you, you can be like, no, I'm definitely them, and you would get advantage on that. You know what? Actually, I like the new one. I like the new one more. I think the new one is I like the new one more because let's say you're playing a bard who is walking into a room trying to pass off as some dignitary, a real dignitary who's supposed to be at this event that night, but the rogue, the paladin, and the barbarian have them tied up over in a shed somewhere in town, and you're rolling in with the wizard posing as this dignitary and their consort or whoever. You just have to make that DC 15 performance check. You're going to have advantage, and on top of that, you're going to have like a plus, 10 or something to a performance check as a bard. So that is going to mean that for the next hour that you're there, everyone believes that you're this person. Unlike before, where every single person that you interacted with would have the opportunity to make an insight check. You roll up to the gate. There's people looking around you. Somebody comes up and says, "Who are you?" And you say, "Oh, I'm Lord Delmore." And it's like, all right, insight check, roll deception. And then you roll. And if it breaks it there, well, the gig's up. You get up to the door. Let's see your ID. The wizard prestidigitates an ID, and you're posing as him. That's an insight check versus deception. Once you get in, there's people that are going to know who Lord Delmore is. So once you're in there, they're, looking around, they see you, and they're like, "Lord Delmore?" And you're like, "Yes." Insight check, deception. This new mimicry ability is great. I like this. I like how it's more of a, hey, for the next hour, you are this person. Everyone thinks that you are. There's not even a question that you're not this person. I like that. I like that change. Okay. So I'm going to put a star next to the ones that I like, the ones that I don't. And that is because if I like it enough, I might add it to D&D Beyond so that in the future players can use these. Or, the day that I figure out that I want to use them. All right, so next up we have Athlete. So what was it before? So Athlete was, we got Strength +1. We got Standing Up uses 5 feet. Now this is technically instead of half. MT. So, if you didn't already know, when you're prone and you want to stand up, it uses half of your movement. This doesn't matter if you have 30 feet of movement or 100 feet of movement. If you have 30 feet of movement, it takes you 15 feet of movement to stand your ass up. If you have 100 feet of movement, it takes you 50 feet of movement to stand your ass up. Athlete means that you're basically just throwing yourself off the ground and you're standing up like one of those cool guys on the internet. So there's that. Climbing. So we're just going to put here climbing speed. And lastly, you make a running long jump or a running high jump after moving only 5 feet instead. Okay, so jumps after 5 feet instead of 10. All right, so simple, basic, done. New Athlete. So New Athlete has a prerequisite. So that, again, was something that we talked about. That's going to be something that is different. So we're going to put on here prereq. And that is that you need to have a strength, dex, or con of 13. That's definitely new. But you're still... so here is the difference, though. You know what? Just for the sake of my own, sanity, I'm going to capitalize all these shorthands. But now, what is that first ability? 1 second. There we go. Yeah, this way I can keep everything organized. Perfect. Okay, so you're going to get this +1. So you need to have... So that means that you could be strength-based athletics. Oh, wait, actually, before it was dexterity as well. So I like this. I like the change to this. Before it was only strength or dexterity. You could be a strength-based athlete or a dexterity-based athlete. Now you can be a constitution-based athlete, which means that if you wanted to play a barbarian who had a super high constitution, lots of health, able to withstand everything, this is kind of built into that now. So I like that it's playing into, having more versatility. Again, as we said before, you get a climb speed. So that stayed. Hop up when you're prone. Again, only 5 feet of movement. So we're basically on the same level now. And jumping. Oh, okay. This is where something is going to change. Okay, so you have advantage on any ability check you make for the jump action. So what is the jump action? We're going to jump down here, and we're going to see what the jump action is. So it has changed. HIJ, there we go. So as an action, you attempt to leap more than 5 feet. A jump of 5 feet or less is treated as difficult terrain. When you take this action, your speed must be greater than 0, and you must make a DC 10 strength check, athletics or acrobatics. If you don't move at least 10 feet immediately before the action, you have disadvantage on this. So, you have advantage. Let's jump back up to where we were. There it is. So you have advantage on ability checks. So you have advantage on jump checks. So, again, jump back down to where we were. Sorry for jumping all over the place. So, you still have to move that, you would still have that 10 feet, but obviously that's going to be reduced to, or no, that's not going to be reduced. That was for standing. But, so, if you're doing a standing, long jump, if you're not moving at least that 10 feet, you're going to have disadvantage. This is going to give you a balance on that. Or if you move 10 feet, you have now advantage. On a failed check, you leap 5 feet horizontally or vertically. On a successful check, the check's total determines the distance in feet that you can clear horizontally, or half that total if you're jumping vertically. This jump doesn't expend your movement, but the distance you clear can't exceed your speed. Okay, I am so happy that they changed the verbiage in this. In the past, it was always buried in the rules, but you could never jump more than your speed. If you had 30 feet of movement and you ran 10 feet, you could only ever jump 20 feet. And if you had the ability to jump double your jump distance, if you had, boots of springing and striding, or somebody had cast, whatever that one spell is, I think it's just called jump. Yeah, it's just called jump. If somebody casts jump on you, your jump distance is tripled. That just means that you whatever distance you're trying to jump, you could jump triple your normal jump distance. That does not mean that you could exceed your movement speed. So I'm glad that it actually has it in here and it's listed, because that has always been a big point of contention for people that have tried to jump further than they normally could. So getting advantage on this, I like that that's tied in with the athlete. I think it plays in well. And again, it's different. Now, this kind of is weird for me. The check total determines the distance you can clear horizontally. So obviously it's going to be at least 10. And you're only jumping ahead a little bit. But so if I roll a nat 20 on this, I can jump a total of 20 feet. That's kind of crazy. But if I only just roll an 11, yeah, I'm jumping 11. So you're really putting everything less out of the player's abilities. Because, hell, if I rolled, if I had say a plus 8 or 10 to athletics, I can jump 30 feet technically if I had the movement. But, you're really putting it into the hands of the dice at that point. So how do I feel about that one? I like it. I like the new versatility to it. I like that it's just a little bit more. You are losing out on that. You only need to move 5 feet before you can do a long jump or a high jump. But I'm okay with getting advantage on it. I think that works because, obviously they're changing how jumps work. Okay, so moving on to Charger. Let's jump over to there. Oh, not Chef, Charger. All right, so Old Charger. That was, you can use your dash. When you use your dash action, so you got dash leading over to a bonus action shove. Or no, sorry, it's a bonus action melee. We're just going to replace this with MWP, melee, or MWA, melee weapon attack, or shove. And if you move, so move 10 feet, you get a +5 to the damage. Or push them 10 feet instead. Cool. All right, so what's the new one? So we obviously have a prerequisite on the new one. So let's give us some lines here. So what's that prerequisite? The prerequisite is now you need to have proficiency with a martial weapon. I don't like that. I already don't like that. Proficiency with any martial weapon. I don't know what the monk's going to look like because we haven't gotten to the warriors group yet. But if monks don't get access to martial weapons, that sucks being able to play a monk that can charge somebody. I want to play a monk that can charge somebody. I don't like that that's the requirement. I think that it should be strength-based or dexterity-based or constitution, much like the athlete. I don't like that because shove doesn't equate to a martial ability. I don't like that prerequisite. Nope. Okay, so let's look and see what we're getting. So we are getting, much like athlete, we're getting either strength or dex +1. So that's good. That's considered a half feat in some circles. When you get an ability, when you take a feat that gives you an ability score +1 and then other things, people often consider those half feats. Okay, so dash grants 10 feet extra now. That's nice. And the charge attack, if you move at least 10 feet. Okay, so let's see how this moves. Okay. If you move at least 10 feet in a straight line immediately before hitting with an attack as part of the attack action on your turn, choose one of the following effects. Okay, so move 10 feet. I'm not adding my hash marks. I'm going to hate myself later when I can't organize this stuff. So you move 10 feet. This means it's move 10 feet as part of the attack action. Most, if not all, 4th levels in the list have an ASI added to them. I think because they are... Oh, yeah. No, there's, yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of that. Again, it's just considered, like I said, it's just considered half feats. So that's just an old term because, most feats, a lot of feats were just like, you get this thing and that thing. But yeah, no, it does seem like all 4th level feats are getting that buff, are half feats. So, and hey, I'm not upset about that. And I like that, I like that they don't have that tied to 1st level feats. I think 1st level feats giving you that buff. Which one did I just pass? Yeah, different fighting styles. Yeah, but I like the fact that I like the fact that 1st level feats would not give you an ASI because that's kind of the whole purpose of them redoing how ASIs are handled. You also can't take ASI at 1st level as well, which was smart of them to put in. So, which, hey, and again, I'm all for feats giving you ASIs. I think they should. I think they should give you them because, again, like I said before, when you have class abilities that are tied to your ability scores, it sucks when you get to 4th, 8th, 12th, whatever levels you're thinking of taking an ASI or feat. You want to specialize with a feat, but you don't want to lose out on the ability to buff your main skills. that is so important no matter who or what you are. You want to, if you're a barbarian, you want to get strength and con up. If you're a ranger, you want to get dex and wisdom up. If you're a wizard, you want to get intelligence up. So no matter what, you want to get those buffs. And I like that this is how they're doing it. I like that they're giving you a small ASI and they're giving you abilities. Again, half feats. So back to Charger. So you can either get a D8. So this is going to be plus 1d8 damage. That's good. You can push target 10 feet. Provided the target you want to push is no more than one size. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so it's just the two of them. And this is going to be... this is all going to be once per turn. Which is definitely different than it was before. But I like this. I like the idea of being able to charge at somebody, rear back, and swing down at them and get that extra D8 of damage on them. I think that's a really cool way to handle this. So I don't like that you need proficiency with martial weapons to use it, though. Again, if I wanted to play a monk, let's say monks don't get martial weapon. I don't even know. Do monks get martial weapon proficiency? No, they don't. They get simple weapons and short swords. So that means that if I wanted to play a monk who is built around being a charger to rush people and beat the shit out of them, I can't do that unless I take something like Weapon Master. Or if I would have to go down, like a Kensei monk subclass to get myself proficiency with a martial weapon. Now, the only thing that I will say is that it does not say that I need to have proficiency with martial weapons. It's just I need to have proficiency with any martial weapon. Now, I don't know. I don't think there's weapon training at the end, and we'll get to that. So we'll see if eventually it becomes a little easier to pick that up. But for right now, that's kind of the iffy thing that I have for it. All right. So moving on to me's favorite feat. We're going to look at Crossbow Expert. So the old Crossbow Expert was that you ignore the loading, being within 5 feet, doesn't impose disadvantage. And lastly, where was it? When you, yeah, so, okay, so, extra bonus action attack when attacking with one-handed weapon. There we go. Extra bonus action attack with hand crossbow. Man, that's long. Trying to make these short. Trying to make them short, sweet, and to the point, but sometimes you just can't. Yeah, so extra bonus action attack with crossbow. Yeah, it's just kind of wordy. All right, so that's the old one. What's the new one? Okay. Prerequisite. You need to have proficiency with any martial weapon. Okay. Is a hand crossbow martial? Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. Okay. For some reason, I thought it wasn't. I think one of the crossbows isn't, but I'm probably wrong. All right, so gotta have this feat, or gotta have this proficiency. You're going to get a Dex +1. So again, everything's a half feat now. You're still going to ignore loading property. Great. That's good. Firing in melee. Okay, cool. That is staying the same. Dual wielding. when you make the extra... Okay, so here's going to be something very major that is changing. Now, what this is saying is when you make the extra attack of the light weapon property, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the extra attack if that attack is a crossbow that has the light property. Now, obviously, if we look at this, there is not that many crossbows. We have hand crossbows, we have heavy crossbows, and we have light crossbows. Now, as you notice, the light crossbow is not light. The hand crossbow has the light property. Now, what does this mean? Where is this playing into? Well, we got to scroll down to the bottom again. Sorry for everything blurring past you. Light weapon property is now a thing that's very specific. When you take the attack action on your turn and attack with a light weapon in one hand, you can make one extra attack as part of the same action. The extra attack must be made with a different light weapon in the other hand, and you don't add your ability modifier to the attacks or to the extra damage on the attack. And you can make this on once per turn. So this goes into, I don't think I can pull it up in here. I don't think it's... Oh, here we go. Yeah. So... No, that's not what I wanted to see. I'm probably gonna have to pull it up somewhere else. Yeah, here. Here's what I'll do. Just to point out where this is really going to affect. Pull up a character here. And I'm going to move him over to this screen. Oh, that looks terrible. So, here's my here's one of the characters that I have on D&D Beyond. Now, as you can see in here, the ability to two-weapon fight. That's what it is, two-weapon fighting. I should probably look that up. Is that... Here it is. This is what I wanted. No, we don't need to pull Ardeth into here. Okay, so two-weapon fighting. When you take the attack action and attack with a light melee weapon in one hand, you can use a bonus action attack with a different one, and you don't add your attack modifier to that. This is saying that it is part of the same action. So, if I am a rogue, and I have a dagger in one hand and a dagger in the other, I can now attack twice with my attack action. I don't get to add the ability modifier to this hand, but I can now attack with that full action, and now I can use my bonus action to disengage. I can hide, I can dash, I can do anything else, and if I'm a thief, I can do even more. This is crazy. This changes the game. The ability to have the fact that it is part of the same action is insane. This also plays up, and I don't know how it's going to be accounted for when you have extra attack, because that's not discussed in here. So if I'm a dual dagger wielding rogue, or a fighter, let's say, and I'm 5th level and I have extra attack, I get to make 2 attacks as part of my action. So this one is that you get 1 extra attack as part of the same action. So I get 3 attacks now. And again, that's just any weapon that has the light property. So any weapon out there that has the light property, I'm going to be sitting on. That's going to be exactly what I want. And let's take a look and see. Let's see the table of all the weapons. Let's see what has light. Club, dagger, hand axe, light hammer, sickle, scimitar, short sword. I mean, again, hand crossbow and crossbow expert, is what we're talking about. That plays into this, but the fact that I can now carry around 2 short swords as, say, a fighter, And at 5th level, now get the, and let's say I'm playing Dexterity. Dritz Doerden. You know, I'm playing a dual weapon wielding fighter, and at 5th level, I have two, you know, I have 2 short swords. And I'm just going up to somebody. I get 3 attacks now. I just do. And that's kind of crazy. So, yeah, I like this. I like how this plays into it. And again, you're not getting that bonus, but I'm sure right here, this is exactly where the next part of it is going to play in. So let's just finish up with Crossbow Expert. So what's the big change? When you make the extra attack with the light weapon, you get to add your ability modifier to the damage. So we're just going to put in here, add ability score, add ability mod to damage for offhand attack. And I'll put 2 stars next to that so that I remember that that's the crazy one. Okay, so that one was nuts. Let's move on to the next one. Defensive Duelist. So, the old Duelist. When you're wielding a finesse weapon, which you're proficient, and another creature hits you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to add your proficiency bonus to your AC. So, this is going to be a, it's going to be reaction to add proficiency to AC. Okay. Easy enough. Defensive Duelist. You need to have the prerequisite of a, and you're, okay, so I'm just going to copy and paste all of this. So you need to have at least a dexterity plus 13. No. Oh, 13 plus. Wow. So you need to have at least a 13 in dexterity. So that's fully understandable. You're going to get a +1 to dex. Awesome. If you're holding a finesse, okay, this is the only part. So, and hits you with a melee attack. You can, okay, so it is the exact same thing. And again, this is playing into what, what Stacy brought up. This is playing into what we're obviously seeing in all this. Defensive Duelist, the old one, the old one actually did have that prerequisite. Sorry. Did the other ones? No, I didn't think so. Yeah, no. So Defensive Duelist actually did have that prerequisite as well. So the only thing that's changing in this is that you now get a +1 to dex, which is great. Again, as I said before, the ability to just beef up your characters when you take feats is a lot better than not having that option. All right, Dual Wielder. Again, we're going with proficiency in martial weapons. So the more and more I'm thinking about this, I'm actually starting to think why. And I think I have figured out why, and that is because it's higher weapon training. When you have proficiency with martial weapons, you have a higher weapon training, in your character's life. So that's the only thing that I can think of why they want you to have martial weapon training. I don't necessarily know if I fully align with it, but I'm cool with it for now. It just kind of sucks that, I couldn't use this on somebody who, didn't get that, and I still wanted to dual wield, but we'll live. All right, so for this one, it's a +1 AC bonus when, okay, so yeah, so +1 AC when 2 weapon wielding. All right, we're just going to do that. +1 AC when 2 weapons. Yes. Okay, so here's the major one. I actually played a dual wielder back in the day. So you can use 2 weapon when the weapons aren't light. And you can draw or stow 2 weapons. Instead of 1. So, super simple, super basic. Oh wait, 2 one-handed weapons. My bad. So again, dual wielder was always fun because it was that idea of like, pull up 2 daggers out of your sides, 2 swords off your back. So let's see how they have changed that. When you're holding a weapon with the light property, so again, that's the whole new thing. You can treat a non-light weapon in your other hand as if it had the light property, provided it lacks the 2-hand. Okay, you can use 2-handed fighting even when the one-handed melee weapons you're wielding aren't light. Okay, so this is definitely different. So it is now that you have to have a light weapon in one hand, but you can have a non-light weapon in the other. So you could be fighting with a short sword and a long sword and still get the benefit of that extra attack. Okay. So, treat non-light weapon as light if not two-handed. Yeah. If not light, if not two-handed, and wielding... God, I always forget how to spell wielding. Treat non-light weapon as light, if not two-handed, and wielding light weapon in main hand. Yeah. So, that's not bad. I don't like the fact that you can't have 2 one-handed weapons, or non-light weapons, because back in the day when I played Kelf the Axe Wielder, I had 2 battle axes. Neither one of those is light. So I liked the old one, but I like how they're playing into the light property, and especially with that extra attack. So I could have gone, hand axe and battle axe. That would have been cool. Okay, so quick draw, and yep, same thing. Okay, so draw or stow, kind of what I assumed. Okay, so overall, dual wielder is the new dual wielder is pretty good. I honestly think most of these are just going to be better than the old ones because they're all half feats. So, all right, so old durable. It's going to be con +1. And when you roll a hit die to regain hit points, the minimum number you regain equals twice your constitution. Okay, so hit die minimum equals 2x con. Easy enough. There we go. The new durable. Prerequisites. Just copy and paste some. So you need to have at least a 13 con. So that's already pretty important. But you're going to get a +1 to your con. Same as before. Okay, so that's brand new. You now get advantage on death saves. As a bonus action, you can expend one of your hit die. Roll the die. Okay. Bonus action. Hit die. Healing. Wow. Okay. The new durable is very powerful, and I really like it. Advantage on death saves is kind of crazy. Also, the ability to use a bonus action to recover some hit points. Because obviously, with the old durable, you were limited to short rests or any other feature that maybe like a class or subclass gave you to roll hit die. This is just a bonus action. You can expend your hit die. That's crazy. I I would love to play this as a barbarian. I would love to play this as a zealot. So zealots get that beautiful ability later on, where as long as you're raging, having 0 hit points doesn't knock you out. Oh shit, I just moved past it. However, if you would die due to failing death saves, you don't die until your rage ends. The ability to get an advantage on this, a Zealot Barbarian with Durable, is so fucking powerful. I would love to see that in action. 100% better than the old one. 100% better than the old one. No doubt in my mind that is so much better. All right. So Elemental Adept. Now, I foresaw this prerequisite the moment I saw prerequisites were coming with almost all of these. Didn't mean to do that. That is going to be that you need to be able to cast spells. Now, Pact Magic is very specific, but that's mostly wizards and stuff. But spellcasting or Pact Magic is necessary. So, what's the old one? Now, the old one actually, the old one even had the prerequisite as well. The ability to cast at least one spell. So, you pick a particular damage type, acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. When you cast a spell, you ignore resistance to damage type. And I'm going to put a little... Put a little something next to that. Yeah, we'll do that. No, put a little star. So the star is just going to be for a particular damage type. Nah, forget it. I'm not. I change my mind all the time. In addition, when you roll damage, so treat any one as a 2 for that damage type. And then, you can select it. It's repeatable. And see, this is kind of what I was saying, where now it just says repeatable yes or no. This one was very specific within its own listing. So, what's the new one? Well, obviously, we are getting an increase in some capacity. And with this, that's going to be intelligence, wisdom, or charisma +1. Which, makes total sense. Those are all the spellcasting abilities. And then for here, is it the same thing? Ignore resistance. In addition, treats... So, we are on the exact same thing. So, Elemental Adept does nothing different except the fact that you can now get a +1 to your spellcasting modifier. Again, a better version of the same feat. I like it. I like that this is the way that they went. Okay. So, we got into the epic boons in here. These are all the 20th level feat. And as you can see, they're all listed as this. So, you can't even take them even if you wanted to. But here is the crazy parts. Expert or warrior group. Expert or mage group. Now, we know that that's going to be a big thing with this. So, I'm glad we're kind of seeing that already. And I'm not really going to sit down with these too much or throw them in this list. But let's just take a look at them. So, combat prowess. When you miss with a melee attack, you hit instead. This is used once per combat. Okay, because every time you roll initiative, it refreshes. Dimensional travel, you can cast Misty Step without expending a spell slot. So that's going to be once every short or long rest. Energy resistance, you choose a damage type and you're resistant to it for a long or short rest. That's actually really, really nice. Fortitude, your hit point maximum increases by 40. In addition, when you recover hit points, you regain an amount equal to your... Okay, so figure that would be something like a +5 or something like that. No more than once per round. Wow. Okay, that's still pretty nice. You always ignore resistance. Okay, that's cool. Immediately after you roll a d20 for a d20 test, you can roll a d10 and add the number to that test once per short or long rest. Okay. While in dim light or darkness, you can become invisible as an action. You remain there until you take an action or reaction. Okay. Peerless aim. If you make a ranged attack against a target in range and miss, you can cause the attack to hit instead. So much like the combat prowess, this one's melee, this one's ranged. Recovery. You can use a bonus action to regain a number of hit points equal to half of your maximum. Half of your maximum. That's a long rest. In addition, you succeed every death saving throw that isn't a 1. Okay. Idea for an epic level character. Zealot Barbarian with durable and the epic boon of recovery. You don't die. You can't die in that combination. You can use a bonus action once a day to recover half of your hit points. Okay, so if we think about this, a barbarian has a d12 hit die. So let's just say, even if we look at it from the very beginning, let's say we get a +4 in the very beginning, and we get a +5 at 4th level, okay? Or even let's just say that it's a +5 from the beginning. Yeah, we'll just go maximum. So you're going to start out with 17 hit points, and then every level you're going to go up. Again, we're going with a +5. You're going to go up 12. So that means that by the time you reach 20th level, so that's 11, or that's 12, that would be 12 times 19 plus 17. So right there, you have 245 hit points as a level 20 barbarian. You know what? No, we're just going to do this. We're going to make this character real quick because I want to see this math play out in front of me. I don't care if any of this needs to go on there. So race, this does not matter in any capacity whatsoever, but we'll just do auto gnome. Don't care. We're going to go barbarian. Come on, add class. Let's crank you up to level 20. We're going to choose zealot, and we're going to forego everything there. We're just going to do manual, and we're just going to put in 20s for everything. And then down here, we're going to increase Constitution by 2, Strength by 1. Again, this doesn't actually matter. Oh, no, wait, it does. It does. We need to give one of these ASIs. We need to give one of these to Strength. No, Constitution, yeah. And then we'll Charisma, sure, whatever. Okay, so we're at 24. That's right. Because the thing about the very last part is of a barbarian is that your strength and constitution increase by 4 to a maximum of 24. So, ba-boom, we are now exactly where we want to be. There we go. 285 hit points. So again, as a zealot, while you're raging, having 0 hit points doesn't knock you unconscious. You keep going and you keep making death saves. I also believe there is something else in here. Even if you drop to 0 hit points while raging, you don't die outright. You make con saving throws. If you succeed, you drop to 1 point, and every time the DC goes up by 5. So at this point, I mean, we have a plus 13 to con. So we're even just by rolling like a 0, we're already there. At least for the first one. So what? At this point with durable, you have advantage on death saves. You can use that bonus action to heal. And on top of that, with the epic boon of recovery, as a bonus action, you're getting back 142 hit points, 143 if you round up. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And I love it. I love everything about it. I want to see that character. I want to play that character. All right, so boy, that was something else. All right, let's move on. So, epic boon of skill proficiency. You gain proficiency in all skills. Well, there you go. You know, people spend all their time sitting there thinking, how do I make a character with all of the skills? There it is. Just reach level 20 and you just have all of them. Play a bard the whole way up. Take some levels in rogue, but there you go. Epic boon of speed, increase your speed by 30. That's awesome. Again, people who try and make the fastest character, there you go. Just take that at level 20. Undetectability, you can't be seen or heard by any means, magical or non-magical, while you are hidden. That is insane. An epic boon of the unfettered. As a bonus action, you can take the disengage action, which also ends the grappled action and restraint conditions. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Slick. Okay, so here we go. We're into this particular part that I said we would maybe discuss later. Fighting styles. The fighting styles require you to be warrior group, which again was going to be fighter, barbarian, or monk. Now this means that as a paladin who's in the priest group, you can't take something like defensive fighting style. Now maybe in the next UA, we might see a change to that, but protection, protection goes right along with it. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, you get a fighting style. Like, that's part of the class. Now, it's possible that much like the ranger, we're going to see the same thing. You get a fighting style and, you count as the warrior group for this. But, I just think that paladins better get it. That's all I'm saying. So, okay, cool. Back onto where we were. We're going to go to grappler. Now, the old grappler, much like some of these others, has a prerequisite that you need to have a strength of something, or, something of 13. Well, this one is that you need to have strength. The new one, though, is you need to have strength or dex, which I like. Not every grappler is a big, Olympian muscle man. Sometimes they're real quick and nimble and very dexterous. So I like that they're playing into that. So the new, let's look at the old one first, and then we'll get into the new one. So with this one, you have advantage on attacks. Again, yeah, so advantage against grappled creature. So we're going to know that that's the one that you're grappling. And you can use your action to try and pin a grappled creature by you. So, okay, yeah, so this is going to be action to restrain grappled creature. Cool. So, what's the new one? Well, the new one, we're obviously getting that ASI, which, hey, again, great. So what is it? It's dexterity or strength. So I had it somewhere else. Here we go. Bam. Same as the charger. All right, so what's next? You have advantage on attack rolls against... Yep, so same thing. Fast Wrestler. Okay. Now, this plays into something that we knew from last time. The grappled condition now makes you slowed. And what is slowed, for those who don't remember? Right there. You have... It's essentially difficult terrain. Attacks against you have advantage, and you have disadvantage on dex or saves. So, the grappler feat is taking that away. Not slowed. Capitalize that. When moving grappled creature, if small. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. If your size or smaller. There we go. So that's great. The fact that, you know, the fact that you trying to grapple somebody and trying to move them is not giving a penalty on you. That I like. Okay, so what next? Punch and grab. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as part of the attack action, you deal damage. You can deal damage to the target and also grapple it. You can use this benefit once per turn. Okay, so this is giving you, as what was discussed last time, the unarmed strike attack can now be used to grapple. You know, you hit, as long as you hit them, they are grappled. So now the grappler feat is saying when you unarmed strike, you can grapple and deal damage. I like that. I want to imagine a monk running up, like socking you in the, you know, like grabbing you by the head and grappling you. That's the unarmed strike. And then like elbow coming in as part of the same attack action. I like that. Unarmed. Okay. Sweet. Okay. I'm definitely liking that one more. Did I mark off the other ones? No. Obviously. Yeah, cool. Great weapon master. Okay, so what's the old? Yeah, this is actually one that I have a lot of familiarity with because one of my players has this at my library group. So what it is crits make extra bonus action attack when you crit and reduce to 0. So as long as you crit, and as long as you reduce them to 0, and you still have a bonus action, you get an extra attack. Additionally, you can take a -5 to hit, equaling a +10 to damage. There you go. It's the gamble. That was the whole idea that my my one player played into, was that it was a gamble. All right, so we're going to go back up here. We're going to grab what was on dual wielder because it's pretty much the same. There we go. All right, so great weapon master. You need to have proficiency with any martial weapon. You're going to get a +1 to strength. Cleave. Immediately after you score a critical hit, so it's the exact same thing. And what is next? Heavy weapon mastery. When you hit a creature with a heavy weapon as part of the attack action, you can cause the weapon to deal extra damage equal to your proficiency bonus. Huh. That's powerful. Not... Okay. Heavy weapons can deal extra damage equal to proficiency bonus once per turn. Huh. That's definitely different. That's definitely different. It's no longer the gamble. It's no longer the, you know, I'm going to risk this -5 to try and get some extra damage. It's now just once per turn. Hey, I want to deal an extra 3 damage to this guy. I want to deal an extra 4 damage to this person. It's definitely a lot lower damage, but you're also not risking the attack missing. I mean, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a +2 to 1 attack per turn, or a +3 to 1 attack per turn, or the chance to potentially risk to get a +10? Now, the player that plays at the library, he's playing a gambler. So, obviously, he wants to play into that gamble. But I like this one a lot better. I really prefer this one. Oh, shoot. I just realized that I never added Heavy Weapon Master down here. Oops. Get that accounted for. Old. New. There we go. Yeah, didn't realize I didn't type that one in. Okay, cool. So yeah, definitely liking the new one on Great Weapon Master. That one's nice. Heavily armored. Okay, so what is the old one? Yeah, this one was always very straightforward. It was strength +1 and proficiency heavy armor. Just super simple. That's it. That's all it ever was. And that's pretty much all it is, but yeah, and even it still even had the same prerequisite. So yep, because yeah, that was the other thing. You had to have medium armor already before you could take heavy armor. But now it's actually the exact same thing, but you can take a buff to con. I like that. I like that change. It's subtle. It's super simple. There's nothing crazy to it. It doesn't change how the feat works, really, but it's something extra. If you are taking this and your strength is already maxed out and you want heavy armor, that bump to your constitution is just a good option. Awesome. So... wait, heavy armor... oh, wow. Jeez. This confused me. Medium armor training is the same thing as proficiency. Do they put down here that training? Huh. That's an old term. Like, the idea of training used to just mean, it got changed to proficiency. So that one's kind of weird that's like that. Okay. So yeah, with old, so didn't copy everything there. So prereq is that you need to have heavy armor. I need to have that for both, in fact. And so what is it? So we had before was a strength +1. And yeah, that's right. So while in heavy armor, DMG. Oh, is it listed as A? Ah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's what I assumed. Yeah, it's the exact same way. So they just changing it from training to proficiency, or from proficiency to training. But it all means the same thing. Well, in heavy armor, damage from mundane is reduced by 3. Very few I've ever seen people actually take this. So what is the change? Well, obviously we know that we're going to get some ASI, but it looks like we are getting that constitution with it. And what's the next one? When you're hit with, oh, okay. That's great. I like that. I like that. So what, 3 would be when you are level 5. So the fact that you're going to be able to take this at 4th level, have a +2, have a negative, that 2-point reduction, and then at 5th level jump up to 3. Now you have the same feat with that constitution bonus, but like 20th level you're going to have a -6 to that damage. I like that. I really like that idea. I think that's a good way to balance that out. Also, again, tying more stuff into proficiency bonuses. Okay, so what are we on to next? Inspiring Leader. So, Inspiring Leader always required you to have Charisma higher. But now, as you can see, we have... you actually now... so you can have a Wisdom that much. Okay, so... But what was this one? So you can spend 10 minutes inspiring your companions. Okay, so 6 creatures of choice. Blah, 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 blah. Gain temp HP equal to level plus charisma. And once per rest. So 6 creatures of choice gain temp HP equal to level plus charisma once per rest. So what is the new one? Well, the prerequisite has changed. You can now have wisdom plus, or wisdom 13 to get that. Also, again, you're getting wisdom or charisma +1. I'm loving this. I kind of like the idea of a wisdom-based leader, having somebody who's wise, more like a sage. You could have like a druid who is an inspiring leader who's, leading on the group. I like how that is playing into it. Okay, so what is this? At the end of a long or short rest, you can give an inspiring speech, song, speech, or dance. When you do so, 6 creatures. Okay, so this has changed. 6 creatures of your choice at the end of a rest gain temp HP equal to... Oh, goodness me. 2d4 plus proficiency. And that's where it ends. Look at that. That is where it ends. There is nothing in there that says that it's once per rest. That's what I love to see. God damn, that's powerful. Holy shit. Okay. So let's look at this. Let's look at this. I gotta pull up something that I can do some mathematics on. All right. So, where are we gonna put this? We're gonna blah 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 blah. We're gonna throw this. We're gonna throw this over here for a minute. Okay, so I want to see what is better. I have, I think, a better document for this, and I just have to find it. Oh, crud. Which one was it? No. Is it this one? Yes, it's this one. Okay. So we're going to pull you over here. Come on, get off that page. Here we go. Give me this one. There we go. Okay, so this is one that I have used before for different things. All right, so we're going to copy this. We're going to go down a little bit further. Here we go. So level 1 to 20. In this first column, we're going to go with the old inspiring leader, which is going to be level plus charisma. Now, okay, so we're going to have to consider that up to 4th level, the most that you could have would be a +4 to charisma, and then beyond that is going to be a +5. So this is going to equal this plus 4. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna leave that at that, but then from here we're gonna change this to 5. And we're gonna do that to that. So there we go. So this is level plus charisma. Okay, so that is what we're looking at right now. Okay, so we got level plus charisma. Now we're gonna look at 2d4 plus proficiency. Now the thing is, for those of you who don't know, there's a wonderful website called AnyDice. If you ever need to know dice calculations and averages, I already know what 2d4 would be. But if you go into here, you put output 2d4, you can hit calculate. It actually gives you the median of what your dice rolls are. But the quick and dirty way to know what the average of any die roll is to take all of the sides and then find the median of that. So a 1d4, it's not going to be 2, it's going to be 2.5. So obviously that multiplied by 2. Some basic math for you folks out there. So this means that it's going to be on average. This is just going to be on average 5 plus proficiency. Now the math here is going to be, I think there is an equation. I want to say that it's tied into here. Yeah. Okay. This is actually everything that I want. So we're going to cover that because I've done these equations before. That needs to, there we go. Okay. So you need to, oh, nope. Come on, copy, paste, and then from 5th level, yeah, there we go. Sick. Okay, so there's that. And then with this, it's going to be 5 plus, no, come on, equals, doing math here. Okay. So there it is. Now, you might look at this and you might say to yourself, hey, that's not that great. And you know what? Probably not wrong. But if you're doing it on long rest, it's not. Long rest at 20th level, you're getting 25. Short, here, wait, why is it? Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, it's definitely right. But think of it this way. If you long rest once a day, that's once. If you short rest multiple times per day, as it says on here, a creature can't gain temporary hit points from this feat until it finishes a short or long rest. So that is once per day. If we take this and let's just say you go on a day's adventures and maybe you have 3 or 4 short rests in a day. Let's take this and multiply that now by, let's say 3. Would you look at that? That is already very high and much higher than the maximum. And also, even from the beginning, you are getting what almost benefits out at a 16th level on the original one now. And again, that relies on you doing multiple long rests. But I think that needs to be taken into account. It's more useful overall. This also is very similar to how they changed the healer feat, where you get more uses out of it. In fact, I want to say that one of these is tied to the healer feat. I can't remember which one. But I like this. I like this a lot. In fact, I want to say here, no, we don't want to change that. We still want this to be to that. But if we look at what the maximum is, what's our maximum? Yeah, we're still looking pretty good. I mean, we're starting out low, but we have a high range, you know, or I mean, we're starting out high, and granted, we're not, it's not going up super crazy along the way, but again, it's the ability to use it multiple times per day. That's the thing that I think is, I like about the new one more. Again, you're also getting a buff to your wisdom, but still, that the ability that it's not limited to once per rest is beautiful. Okay. So, Keen Mind. Moving on to the next one. So, Keen Mind has, you know, the old one has no prerequisites, but the new one has intelligence. So you need to have at least an intelligence of 13. But for both of them, you are going to start out with a buff to your intelligence. So that is good. You always know which way is north. Nowhere north. You know hours in day. And recall anything within a month. Cool. I've had plenty of players take this in the past in different games, so I know this one pretty well. That always knowing which way is north is kind of weird, and same with the hours in the day, but it has helped out. But what are we getting now? So we are getting... oh, okay. So choose... Wow, so you get proficiency in either Arcana, History, Invest, Nature, or Religion. I like that. If you lack proficiency in the chosen skill and you gain proficiency in it, you gain... Choose, if you lack proficiency, you gain proficiency. Oh, wow! Okay, so you gain proficiency with it. And if you already have proficiency, you gain expertise in it. That's much better, in my opinion. And you can take the study action as a bonus action. We're going to have to go down to the glossary here for that, because some of those new terms like search and study are going to be different. Okay, so, all right, cool. I saw very quickly, and I know exactly what it is. Search is based off of wisdom. Study seems based off of intelligence. Yep, it's knowledge checks. Okay, so, yep. So that means that... okay, yeah, so bonus action to take the study action. Okay, so bonus action study, which I'm just going to put this as intelligence check, because it feels like that's what it is. Like, you know, on character sheets, you have different actions, but they all kind of like turn out to basically be the same thing. You know, that's just tied to some skill. This is basically just intelligence checks. So you can use an intelligence check as a bonus action, which is nice. All right, lightly armored. So what do we got here? So what's the old one? So the old one is strength or dex +1. Okay, and yep. Where did I have the other one? Here it is. Just copy that. I'm lazy. Proficiency with light armor. All right, so what's the new one? Nothing. It's just the exact same thing. Oh, it's a first level feat. Ah, I know why. Because they added the armor training. Oh wait, what? No, they didn't. Okay. Okay, this is definitely different. This is a first level feat, and you get proficiency with light armor, medium armor, and shields. Okay. I see what they're doing now. Okay. Huh. Okay. Yeah, so they're just changing how the wording is. I don't like the fact that you're losing out on that bonus, but it is a first level feat. So, and you are getting that stuff. If you don't already have it, you could take that at first level, get medium and shields. You know what? Here's what I'll say. I'll put that I like the new one more. If only because I've never seen a single person ever take lightly armored beforehand. If you have... I don't even think I've seen mages take it. Because honestly, you're better off taking mage armor. Which is a spell. So, okay. Yeah, is what it is. Alright, so... Old Mage Slayers. So when a creature within 5 feet of you casts a spell, you can use reaction. Okay, so reaction to attack to melee attack creature within 5 feet who casts a spell. Okay. When a creature you damage is concentrating, yep, so creatures concentrating on spells have disadvantage on concentration check when you damage them. Yep. And advantage on saves against creatures. Oh yeah, against on spell saves against creatures within 5 feet. Cool. All right, so what's the new one? Proficiency or prerequisite. Martial weapon. What? Why? Why is that a thing? God. Alright. Strength and Dex +1. Okay. Let's look at what we got now. When you damage a creature that's concentrating. Yep, so same thing. So we got this. Down there. If you fail an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saving throw. Huh. Okay. Can turn a failed int, wisdom, or charisma save into a success once per long rest. I don't know if I don't prefer that. I don't prefer that over advantage. I don't like this. I like the old one. The reaction to make an attack against a creature casting a spell is better than a +1 than an ASI. Same thing. I mean, the disadvantage is the same, but I would, see, no, the idea of a Mage Slayer is you're getting up in combat and beating the shit out of them. That's what I want. That's the kind of style that I want to see. I prefer the old one on this one. Not gonna lie. I prefer the old one. Yeah. Okay, so how much more we got? We don't got much more. I got maybe about another 45 minutes and then I have to go somewhere. So we're going to try and get through the rest of this quickly, there is still more stuff past all here. There's all the spells, but I'm not going to touch into that. I've also talked to some about these things down at the bottom, but I'm mostly focusing on the classes and the feats. That's, you know, those are the things that I mostly care about. Okay, so medium armor master. So we obviously need to have the prerequisite before and after of medium armor. That's going to be old and new. Oop. So what was the old one? Medium armor doesn't impose disadvantage on stealth. That's always a pain in the ass. If you're wearing medium armor, you do have disadvantage on stealth. Yep. While in medium armor, Dex bonus is max 3. Max 2 is the standard. So what is this? So we're going to get the ASI of strength or dex +1. And okay, so it's just that. Huh. So you're just getting the ability to get a +3 if your dexterity is 16 or higher. I'm ambivalent to that. That one I truly don't care about. Disadvantage on stealth sucks, but it's rare that it plays into effect. A +1 to strength and dex though is good. I'm gonna lean my way that way. All right, mounted combatant. All right, so what is mounted combatant? So advantage on melee attacks against unmounted creatures smaller than mount. You can force an attack targeted at your mount. Sorry. Yep. How would I word this? Force attacks to target you instead of mount. And if your mount is subjected to an effect that allows it to make a dex save to take half damage, it instead takes... Okay, yeah, so mounts take no damage on successful dex saves instead of half. Okay, so prerequisite, proficiency with a martial weapon. Why do I need to have proficiency with a martial weapon to develop a bond? Prerequisites are killing me. Okay, so there's a lot here. Strength, dex, or wisdom +1. I like that they throw wisdom in there. That's tied to animal handling. I think that's smart. So advantage on animal handling. Huh. Yeah, I'm gonna put a mount. How can I word that? Advantage on animal handling checks. Against mountable creatures. Ugh. I hate saying that phrase. While mounted, you have advantage on... Okay, cool. So that's basically the same thing. Advantage on melee attacks against creatures that are smaller than you. If your mount's subjected, yep, so basically the same thing. Mount takes no damage if successful dex saves instead of half. If mounted, you can use your reaction. Okay, so it's basically the same thing. It's But now this is a reaction. So you're basically getting the ability of, the ASI and animal handling, but you now have to use a reaction to have attacks redirected to you instead of against your mount. Yeah, I like the new one. As a DM, I like the new one. The fact that that's limited. But yeah, it's not bad though. The old one's not bad, but I like all the new stuff. That proficiency though is bullshit. Or the prerequisites is bullshit. Alright, so Old Observant. Intelligence or Wisdom +1. Yeah. Can read lips. And +5 to passive perception and investigation. Observant has always been crazy, especially if you want to play a spy or like a detective. Okay, so what is the new one? Well, what's the prerequisites for the new one? That is going to be intelligence and wisdom. Wisdom 13, which makes sense. That definitely makes sense. But you're still going to get that intelligence or wisdom +1. So now what? Keen observer. Choose one of the following skills. Okay, so this is going to be the same thing as keen mind. So it's basically the same. So observant and keen mind, whereas keen mind was intelligence based stuff. I'm assuming, yep, this is all wisdom based. So we got insight, investigation, and perception. I love this. I love that those two are now like the working opposites of one another. That's I like how that's played in, and much like Keen Mind, was a bonus action to study. This one is a bonus action to search. And you know what? Let's be real here. To call it search and study, I like that. I like that a lot. Can we make that a standard? I want to search. I want to study. To say that I walk into a room and want to perceive, or I want to investigate, could you say, that has been one of the things that for years I've tried to explain to new players. Perception is this and investigation is this. They work very similarly, but one is more wisdom and overall in general, and one is more intelligence and specific and, dense down. The idea of I want to search or I want to study, I like that a lot better. I like the idea of saying like, oh, I want to search the cabinet for something. Okay, you search the cabinet and you find this book. Okay, you find this book. It has these, weird runes on it. Okay, I now want to study the book. I want to look through it. I like this. I like how these terms are being used. Search and study are great ways to really explain it better. And I like that observant and keen mind are playing into that with one another. I think those two are really great together. I'm glad that they I'm glad that they have done that. So I will probably be using those terms more as I go along because I like how that is designed. So good on you, Watsy. Good on you. Okay, so moving on to Polearm Master. So prerequisite. This one makes sense. Polearms are martial weapons. Oop, I meant to put that down there. But what was the old one? Yeah, so the old Polearm Master, this one has always been like a huge thing for a lot of players because it's crazy. So, when you attack with a glaive, halberd, quarterstaff, or spear, you can use a bonus action to make a melee attack with the opposite end, which only deals a d4 in damage, and it's only bludgeoning. So this one is extra attack with... I'm just going to put polearm because it's just going to be easy enough to remember. With opposite end of polearm, and then just going to put in here d4. And I believe this attack uses... Yeah, so it's just a d4. So, or no, it's not. It's a d4. Yeah, but anyway. And while wielding it, yeah, so this one's the other one. This is the main reason why people take this. Creatures provoke opportunity attacks when entering reach. So that's always the big thing. You know, whenever they get into reach, you get an opportunity attack, not just whenever they're leaving. So let's see what they did to this one. So we got that. So we got strength +1. Immediately after you take the attack action. Okay, it's a d4. Cool. So it's the same thing. Extra attack with the opposite end when you're holding it. Reach property. Has the reach property, you can use a reaction to make. Whip. Lance. Halberd. Glaive. Quarterstaff doesn't have it. Huh? Excuse me? Glaive, halberd, quarterstaff, and spear. Glaive, halberd. So quarterstaff and spear are taken out. And it is now just the pike, the halberd, and the glaive. Oh! I'm going to have to be specific. Pike, halberd, and glaive. And this one was glaive, halberd, quarterstaff, or spear. Oh, God. Otherwise, it's basically the same thing. Oh, no. You know what? I'm going to do it this way. I hate this. They hurt my boy. This sucks. They took away quarterstaffs. Oh my God. Oh my God. So it has to be heavy and reach. Oh my God. I don't like that. I don't like that. God damn it. I don't like that. Well, that sucks. I mean, I guess you are getting a +1 to strength. But the spear. The spear was always so nice. Oh. Oh my god. That's bullshit. Alright, anyway. Gotta get a move on. Resilience. Yeah, that's right. So, Resilient was, so, ASI +1. We'll do it this way. ASI 1+1. And, proficiency in saves of ability score. So what's Resilient 2? So it does not have a prerequisite. This is the first 4th level feat that has not had a prerequisite. So what is it now? Choose one ability score in which you lack saving throw proficiency. Okay, so ASI ability score increase +1 to ability lacking saving throw proficiency. So it's basically the same thing, but it's limited. So it's literally the same thing, but I couldn't just use that to buff up, like, strength if I was already proficient in strength saving throws. I don't like that. That made it worse. You're now more forced to just pick one. Don't like that. No, sir. Alright, Ritual Caster. So, what was the old Ritual Caster? Yeah, this is a long-ass one, but basically... yeah. So, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's just... yeah, you gain 2 first level spells and can, in a book, can add spell scrolls to it. I think that's it. I think that's pretty much it. It just lets you get a spell book, and you can cast things that have the ritual spell. First level spells, yeah. Didn't they say that they're changing? So the thing is that it's any... no, so the thing is that I think what they're saying now is you don't need to have spell casting or pact magic. No, if you have a spell prepared that has the ritual tag, you can cast the spell as a ritual. A special feature is no longer required for spell cast. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever played with this the right way. I've always just had, if you have a spell and it has the ritual tag, you can cast it as a ritual. Maybe I was wrong. It's possible. I definitely never say I play by the rules. But let's look at what the new one is now. So, prerequisite is going to be martial weapon proficiency. No. Prerequisite's going to be intelligence, wisdom, and charisma of 13 or higher. And it's going to give you an increase in one of those of your choice. So, same thing. Learn 2 first level spells. You always have those prepared, and you can cast them with any spell slots you have. That's pretty decent. Yep. Any spell slots you have, spells. So, okay. Spells increase with this feat. And what else? With this benefit, you can cast a ritual spell that you have prepared using its regular casting time. Once per long rest, you can cast a ritual without the ritual time penalty. Yeah, that's that 10 extra minutes on top of whatever it is. That's actually pretty powerful. I don't know. Again, I think Ritual Caster has always been one of those ones that I've never really bothered with because I don't think I run it right anyway. So I'm not even too worried about sitting on that one. But we're going to move on to Sentinel. So, opportunity attacks. I don't know why I capitalize attacks. Reduce speed to 0. That's why people take Sentinel. Someone's trying to run away, you stop them. Opportunity attacks. Even when disengaged. That's the other reason. And reaction attack when someone attacks another creature within 5 feet. There we go. That's good old Sentinel. Everybody loves it. Alright, so what's the prerequisite? Obviously, we knew what it was going to be from the beginning. Proficiency with martial weapons. Hi, Bo. How you doing, buddy? But now we're going to get strength and dex +1. Who could have seen that one coming? Immediately after a creature within 5 feet of you disengages or hits... Oh, shoot! So it kind of combines both of those. Okay. This just got so much better. So, obviously, we had opportunity attacks even when the creature disengages. But it was a reaction to make an attack against a creature that hits another creature. This means that it's no longer tied to your reaction. Wow. So I'm going to put this here. And this just becomes its own thing. So realistically, like, let me reorganize this to make it look like the top one there. Attack when someone attacks another creature within 5 feet. Oh, well, wait, hold on. No, never mind. I'm getting all excited. It's still an opportunity attack. Never mind. I thought the way that they were putting it. Yeah. No, it's the same thing. It's just now they're calling it an opportunity attack instead of just as a reaction. Okay. Never mind. I thought it was more powerful than it was. I just got super excited about it. Alright, so moving on to Sharpshooter. So, old Sharpshooter was long range You know, we're just going to... No long range penalty. Range attacks. Ignore half and 3/4 cover. And same thing with Great Weapon Master. Just going to copy and paste that down here to Sharpshooter because it's the ranged version of it. -5 to hit, +10 to damage. All right, so what's the new one? Obviously, it's going to be prerequisite is proficiency with a martial weapon. You know, again, obviously. Oop. Go. But we're going to get a plus Dex +1. So, attacks, ignore 3/4 cover. Being within... Oh. Huh? Okay. I'm liking this already. So we're still getting the long range penalty is gone and the attacks ignore half cover. But being melee range penalty. Huh. So much like the Great Weapon Master, where they gave this extra damage now. This one is getting just like a quality of life improvement. That's cool. I like that. I like that. That's a lot better, in my opinion. Yeah, these are basically the same. The new Ritual Caster is fine. Yeah, we'll continue on. All right, Shield Master. So, what was the old? So, when attacking, can bonus action shove with shield. And add shield bonus to dex saves. This one's weird because it's things that only affect you. Opposing, yeah. Take no damage from dex save instead of half. Cool. Super simple, super easy. What's the new one? All right, so the prereq for this is shield training, so need to have proficiency, which makes sense. You're going to get a strength +1, which is good. If you attack a creature within 5 feet and hit with a melee weapon, you can bash them with forcing. Okay, so it's the same thing. That's just the same thing as the shove. So there's that. And okay, so here's what they did. They gave you a +1 to strength, but they took away the ability to add your AC to your dex save against creatures only hitting you. I can't say that I like this better. You're just getting that +1 to strength as a trade-off. So yeah, I don't really have an opinion about either one. Actually, no. I like the older one. I like the ability to get that +2 or whatever bonus. I mean, you might have a +2 shield, and you're getting a +4 bonus to your stuff. So, all right. Got to be quick on these last ones. Only got about 10 minutes left here. So, Skulker. What's the old one? So actually the old one had prerequisite as well, and that prerequisite was Dex 13. So both old and new still holding on to that prerequisite. So you can hide when lightly obscured. When you're hidden, missing with range while hidden doesn't reveal. And dim light doesn't impose disadvantage on perception. Which a lot of people forget that dim light imposes a disadvantage on perception checks. So, I'm going to put a thing here. Sight-based perception. Because that's important. Okay, so I just looked at this, and it already is ridiculously powerful, just even from what I just saw. So we're going to get Dex +1, which is good. Now we're going to have 10 feet of blind sight. Hey, rogues, remember whenever you lost blind sight? Well, there it is. Take Skulker. Christ. Fog of War, exploiting, you have advantage on stealth as part of the hide action. Okay, yeah, so same thing. Missing doesn't reveal your position. Okay, so I like this one so much better. It's more powerful. Blindsight is crazy. Advantage on hiding is great. Granted, you don't get that dim light benefit, but I don't think most people play with that. At least I don't. Hiding and lightly obscured is one thing, but the ability to get blind sight is crazy as it is. So, leaving it at that. All right, Speedster. This is actually just a wholly new one. So this is Dex or Con 13. And you're going to be able to buff your Dex or Con +1. And so speed plus 10 feet while not in heavy armor. And when you take the dash action, difficult terrain. Okay, cool. So dashing over difficult terrain doesn't impose or doesn't cost extra. That's cool. I like that. I like the idea of being a speedster, someone super quick, where, you know, you're zipping around and figuring out which ways that you can go through there. Okay. Last three. Spell Sniper. All right, so what's the old prereq for that one is casting a spell. So, and honestly, I think I can probably just... No, okay, no, it is different. Okay, so spell range is doubled. That's always been the case. Spells ignore 1/2 and 3/4 cover. And learn 1 cantrip. Yeah, okay, cool. So you learn 1 cantrip. Everyone always takes Eldritch Blast anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, cool. So, Spell Sniper. Yep. So this is going to be much like one of the other ones we had. I can't remember where specifically it was, but it was basically, yeah, here it is, Elemental Adept. So prerequisite was spellcasting or pack match, just the ability to cast a spell in general. It doesn't matter, how you get it, just you need to be able to cast a spell. So first and foremost, this is going to be intelligence, wisdom, and charisma +1. So up next, we got ignoring cover. That's great. Oh. Okay. So melee range penalty. Huh? When you cast a spell that has a range of at least 10 feet that requires you to make, you can... Fuck! They nerfed this one. Jesus Christ, they nerfed this one. Increase spell's range by 60 feet. Oh my god. Spells with range above 10 feet increase by 60 feet. I hate that. That kills long-range spell snipers with Eldritch Blast and stuff. Fuck that. No. Old one. Old one. So much better. I don't even care if I'm not going to get an ASI with those. Fuck that shit. No way. Alright, so last thing second to last one, Warcaster. So, same thing as Spell Sniper. You need to be able to cast a spell. That's a prereq. What's next? Advan on concentration. On concentration saves. Cool. So, oh, yep, here's the other great one. Somatic, even if wielding shield or weapons. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is if you have a weapon and shield in your hand, you can't use somatic. Because somatic is like your fingers. You have to be able to, swish and flick that shit in order to cast your spells. Having weapons stops you. That's why Warcaster's super powerful, especially for paladins, paladins, clerics. Blade Singers would be important to have, but they can also use their weapons. But this is actually why all my clerics or paladins that I have ever played, I have said that my holy symbol is painted onto my shield, because then that allows me to bypass that. So, and this is still going to be one action spell as an opportunity attack. That's again the other reason why people take Warcaster, so you can get opportunity attacks with spells. Otherwise, it has to be with melee. So what's the new one? Obviously, the prerequisite's going to be spellcasting or pact magic. You're going to get the same thing that Spell Sniper gives you. Then what? Advantage on con saves. That's good to know. And okay. Okay, so it's literally the same thing. Cool. Cool. That's great. All right, so last and certainly least, Weapon Master. One that I have never seen a single player ever take. So strength or dex +1, and you get proficiency with 4 weapons. Woo! So the prerequisite of the... Oh, there is no prerequisite of the new one. That's good. It's the same thing. Huh? Huh? Uh, I was very callous towards this because I thought this was just going to be the same thing. No. That sucks. That sucks. I would take the old one any day. What if the what if the 4 weapons I want are not martial? What if they're simple? You know what? Actually, no. The more I sit on it, the more I think about it. Mostly everything's already going to have simple weapons, right? So we got simple weapons, simple weapons, simple weapons. Maybe we get worked up over nothing. See, that one, druids are very specific. They just have very specific ones. Fighter, simple weapons, simple weapons, simple weapons, simple weapon, simple. Okay, sorcerers are also very specific. Warlocks are simple. And okay, so other than the casters, druid, sorcerer, and wizard, everyone has proficiency with simple weapons. This is just giving you overall proficiency with martial weapons, which martial weapons is a big list. So you know what? Actually, no, I like this new one. It covers the whole gamut. I was very reactionary in that moment, so you know what? I'm sorry, Watsy. That one's actually pretty good. Okay. Cool. So there we go. Well, like I said before, I know this stream's been going on for, almost 4 hours now. Up next is basically just all the spells. These are all the spells from the PHB. I'm not going to go over all of them. Some of them have changed. So for example, if we look in here, sending was a evocation spell. Now it's divination. I like that they have done that changed. Flaming sphere, I'm guessing, was maybe conjuration before. Yep. And they've changed that. Shatter. I can see that it's now transmutation. I'm guessing it was evocation. Yep. Okay. So they did some quality of life changes. Wait, was stone skin? Well, let me guess. Abjuration. Yeah, defensive magic. Yeah, and it makes sense that you're transmuting. You're turning the flesh. So they've done some quality of life improvements. They've changed some, spell types, and I think that's smart. I think that's a good idea for some of them. But again, I'm not going to go over all of these. And then I might save this for another video, maybe tomorrow. I might go through the rules glossary, kind of give my opinions about some of these, because I think there's some good information in here that I, want to sit down and read and, discuss a little bit. So, but I'll save that for tomorrow. I got somewhere to be this evening. So, thanks for everyone for who came by, who sat down, chatted. I appreciate everybody coming by on these. Again, this was one of those things where the moment I saw this stuff came out, I sat down, watched a few videos, started doing my research, and then just wanted to get some information out in front of me and really sit down with it. So I'm going to have this in here for a little bit. I'm probably going to post it around to the places that I do. So with that, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out and, having fun with me going over this new UA. We'll see what I do and do not throw into my own games. I don't think much of this I'm going to, because I think it's mostly feats and classes, and obviously I'm not changing any of that at the time. But who knows? Maybe tomorrow when I go through the rules glossary, there might be something in there that I like, and maybe something like that search or study thing will pop its head up and we'll play with it. So, but beyond that, again, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Have a good night.